Well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Flight Deck to Sim live stream. Today, the 30th of June, 2021, 3 minutes past 5 in the evening, live at 5, back in X-Plane 11, back in the excellent ZIBO MOD 737. A whole raft of updates has been updated to the 737 since we last were. Really excited to show you what ZIBO's been up to, based on some little bit of feedback from some updates from myself and some others on the team. But yeah, it's going to be an excellent flight. Here we are in Edinburgh. Look at it, live weather, clear skies in Scotland, unbelievable. Flying time 1 hour 25 minutes, going to Paris Beauvais, a little airport north of France served by Ryanair and Wizz Air airport, which has been requested quite a few times before. It's going to be a lovely sector, lovely day flying, and I'm hoping to show you some of the things that ZIBO's been up to, as I mentioned a second ago as well. No one's messing around here. Vickers TS coming in straight away with donation. That's very kind of you. Let's see who we've got talking to us today. Stunned silence. Thanks, Vickers. Prancing Max Crosswinds. Thanks to your tutorials on getting so good at centerline, zone and flare, but it's so hard to get the ZIBO to decram almost full rudder. Any suggestions to improve that? Well, Vickers, unless it's a maximum crosswind, you don't really need to sort of full rudder, but as much as full might be needed in max crosswind conditions. So it's sort of like very hard to explain. More I need to show guidance, so perhaps I'll show a dedicated tutorial in times there. So sorry there was no voice there. That left me awkward silence there for a while, which everyone's finding very amusing. Thank you very much, Vickers. I'll get down to making a tutorial. I'll perhaps explain that in a bit more detail later on in the flight. If you have a look at some streams, my Leeds Bradford stream, we did live weather landing in 25 knots, where I went into a bit of detail about the crosswind takeoff there. That's Jack's tail you can hear wagging already. He's very excited to be streaming again today. Right, I better start zooming in towards the aircraft whilst I see who we have here in chat so far today. Vanguard said 10 minutes to launch before the stream. Thank you so much. There's so many people here at the start than usual. Luigi Perez, I think he's just renewed his membership, so welcome again as a member. Thank you for the continued support as well. John Padfield's here, so good evening to you. Timmy Play says it's 2 AM in Sydney. I should be sleeping, not watching, but we're in lockdown again, so now, so what the heck? Yes, I've heard Australia's slowly going to lockdown again. I'm so sorry to hear that, but thank you so much for tuning in. Don't mind if you go and sleep at that early hour there. Dave Hagen's here as well. Rory Heap, hope you're doing well. Long time no see. Excited to know whether any of the engine sounds have changed the upgrade. There's still the same sounds. Not much has changed here. A lot of them is... Well, basically, what ZIBO has done, he's added a lot of features which were in an earlier versions of the 737. So we've got Yaw Damper gauge, earlier MCP design, and yeah, it's pretty much it really. So it's sort of like this is how the NG was when it was started coming out of the factory in 1998. But here she is in the Boeing colours, and of course Orbex scenery I utilised because I'm very kindly they give me access to the scenery. So you've got the beautiful scenery of Orbex here and Orbex True Earth all merges beautifully together. So we're going to have a lovely flight over the UK. Hopefully the conditions will be clear as long as possible. Guillaume Andre says bonjour to you. We're going to your homeland today. 24 Moop 1 working from home. Got you on my other monitor. Looking forward to watching your stream start to finish. Very cool 24 Moop 1. It's a lovely little short sector for you to watch today. HK's Flight Simulation says, show us honey. Oh my goodness me. Tim, 15th of July now, mate. Last minute hitch due to license plate change. Yes, Tim Waters, one of my longest members, is currently self-isolating because he came back from Spain. But I hope you're doing well as you, Anthony. Perfect. Jonas Carlson, what even is a yaw damper gauge? Well, let's show you, okay? If you tuck your head down here, you'll see a little gauge here called the yaw damper gauge, pretty simply, and it shows you what inputs are being made by the yaw damper to sort of stop any oscillations in sort of Dutch roll or dampening out turbulence and things like that. Boeing essentially removed this gauge because it has absolutely no useful information to us as pilots. The yaw damper is an automated system. The rudder pedals don't move at all. It's all managed by something called the stall management yaw damper computer, but you can actually see it move when you make rudder inputs, and that's been modelled in the ZIBO mod. We've got all the standby instruments, and there is the original Honeywell MCP, which was built with some earlier versions of the 737. In fact, some of the 737s on our fleet have the Honeywell MCP. It was actually retrofitted to some newer aircraft. So what's also really cool is that the latest FMC update by Boeing has been incorporated into the ZIBO mod. So FMC U14 updated, which basically makes some subtle changes to how VNAV behaves. been working with ZIBO yesterday. We've got that implemented now. It's pretty much working 95% correctly. There's just a minor FMA enunciation issue. We have the incorrect enunciation, but I'm going to demonstrate that today into the descent into Paris Beauvais, so you can see how that works. But yeah, it's been really nice. I've just had 5 days flying back on the line. It's been the first time I've done a full block of duties since the pandemic started, really. Even last year I didn't really do 5 flights on the trot. Loads are getting slowly better from the UK, so I did some flights to Palma, to Ibiza, other places in Spain. The loads generally pretty crap, less than 50 passengers, which is a great shame, but my last 2 flights were getting 70-80 passengers. From next week, a lot of these countries are going onto the green list, so that means if you're coming into the UK from these countries, you don't need to have self-isolate, so that will hopefully improve things in the future. James Waters, ZIBO needs to fix auto throttle on takeoff. All seems to be working over here my side, so this will hopefully be a nice demonstration. I'll point out any bugs or things that should be working, and then, you know, I make notes of all these things and let ZIBO know. So anyway, we have been chatting for a long time, more than usual, but it's been strange. I haven't streamed for well over a week. It feels like I'm catching up with everybody in chat, but let's crack on now with the setup. So let's pop up here. Batteries on, GPUs on the bus, electric hydraulic pumps we can pop on. Landing gear levers down. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green lights. And then we check all the aircraft documentation and the ship's library. So we just have a little update to the mod today. I was on 349.9 this morning. I had a slight issue with the new VNAV update with U14 FMC update. It's been patched to 349.10, which I don't think is public at the moment. Does need some slight fine-tuning still, but it's a mode you're not going to probably use that much, but it is there and available to be used if you so wish to use it, but I'll explain how that works later on during the descent. So we check the squib bottles. Let's do the fault and fire test. We have fault APU detector in op, master caution, overheat detector as well. We can reset that. Wheel well fire warning, lights illuminated, as are all the fire warning handles, engine overheats. Fire warning light and the belt is sounding. Let's look here on the overhead panel. Emergency exit lights we can arm. Fastest seatbelt won't turn on just yet. We are live on the VATSIM today. There's no ATC at the moment, so hopefully someone will come on later and get some en route ATC. I think Beauvais doesn't have ATC, but the area has a centre controller, so perhaps they can get us in. So, sort of representative of the times at the moment. I'm simulated taking just 32 passengers. I've had loads the last week where I've had at least 2 flights with less than 10 passengers. Just to show you the performance of the aircraft, when it's very light, we're going to be cruising at 41,000 feet today, the maximum cruise altitude for the 737. ZIBO's also rectified a bug which I'm sure some of you might have experienced, where when you were cruising at your maximum altitude, 41,000 feet, top of descent didn't always work properly in the mod. There's a slight bug there, but that should have been rectified now. I tested it earlier, seemed to be okay. So look at that, just 2.7 tons of passengers today, traffic load, and if we have a look at our operational flight plan, there's our chart. We need only 5.6 tons, so 1 hour 25 minutes to Beauvais today. We'll take an extra 30 minutes for any potential holding. There's a few of us going into Beauvais, it might get a little bit busier perhaps. So 5, 6, 7, 6, 6, so that's going to be 6, 7 on the fuel. That's going to be 30 minutes. So let's go here to fuel, 6, 7, enter, and call for the fuel truck. If we look out here, Gerald will go for in Scotland, who's filling up our aircraft. If I can find him, there he is, perfect, looking lean and mean, perfect. Here comes the Jet A1. Let's carry on with the rest of the setup there. Taylor 314 T5, wife and I just flew to Colorado and back. All 3 flights were absolutely filled. In the United States, Taylor, you know, things are really picking up quickly. There's even a shortage of pilots in some areas, and in Canada. I have some friends who are ex-working for operators who actually work and live out there now, and it's the complete opposite in Europe. Things are being very slow to pick up, certainly for UK-based airlines like mine. So great shame. Great shame. John Padfield Gerald, such a Scottish name. I just rolled off my tongue there. Right, rest of the setup then. So we won't put the seatbelt signs on just yet. Test the cabin attend button. Check the flaps are up, which matches the flap indicator position. So there's flaps up and they're indicating up with no amber or green light. Do a takeoff config warning check. Do this to make sure we get the horn and the takeoff config light illuminate. Stab trim cutout switches are in normal. Cargo fire test coming up. We have forward and aft, no detector fault and a discharge light, and the bell and the fire warning light is also illuminated. Resonator on trim, 3 and 0, manual gear extension doors are closed, circuit breakers are all in. We then do a stall warning test. Need to wait a little bit longer for that. There's the Mach airspeed warning test. VHF1 for the observers panel. IRS2 nav. We have EEC on. No engine control or reverser lights illuminated. Circuit breakers are all in, and we can now start the boarding. There we are. Barris, can you share your settings if you're using ShadeX? I don't use any shaders. This is a vanilla Explain 11. As simple as that. If you want to see what plugins I use, you can use the command !plugins and it'll work perfectly there. Oh, so what did I miss a donation? Vickers DS, delete and reinstall ZIBO for every update. Vickers DS, thanks for your donation. So, no, if you do a full update, so at the moment we're running 349.10, so what you want to do is download the full version of 349. I think the latest public version is 349.9, and when you have the 349 full, you just get the 349.9, whatever version it is, drag it into the ZIBO mod folder, make sure you overwrite and drag all the files and folders, and click overwrite yes, and that's the best way to update it there. Perfect, let's carry on with the rest of the setup then, so just double check. We do have tower and ground online, no ATIS, so I'm just going to grab the METAR from my phone. So Edinburgh right now, cav OK, unbelievably, 0408 knots, so we can expect runway 06 for departure, 16 degrees, which you can see is indicated here. QNH is 1019. I took the liberty of completing the real OPT performance prior to the stream, so the MFRA will be 1136, so we'll put that over to Barrow and move this to 1136. Remember, this is the height at which we accelerate in the event of an engine failure. Typically 1,000 feet AGL, but not all the time. That's all done on the EFIS selector panel. We'll have a bit of terrain and airports for now. Turn up the panel lighting. A bit of background AFDS lighting. Now, a lot of people have been commenting recently. An expert, I think, have finally realised at Laminar Research. The lighting in cockpits is very dark in X-Plane. During the middle of the day, if you turn the lighting up here, you wouldn't even notice the lighting's turned up. You would for the main panel because the autopilot digits will be dim. But yeah, and also this lighting is a little bit more realistic here. You'd also have this turned up fully, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see
50,
the digits. So
40,
that's all set
30,
there.
20, 10.
Thank you, Claude Miro Pacheco, for the $5. No comment there. It was very kind of you. Thank you very much. It's hope you're doing well stateside, and thank you for your generosity. No comment there. Usually a comment comes flying in, but cheers, appreciate it. Right, so we've done the EFIS panel lighting. Here's the standby instruments, which we've actually used on the last few recent updates. So this was fitted to the earlier generations of the NG before the ISFD replaced the altimeter and the artificial horizon, which you see here. It's now caged. RMI is now an option to be removed. Also, the ZIBO mod. All our aircraft either have the original standby instruments like this, or the ISFD, which incorporates these two instruments. The RMI is also fitted to all our aircraft, so we don't have the option of having to delete there. So that is set, and now it's time to load the flight management computer. We'd also check the oxygen, do a lights test as well, so we might as well do it all properly. There we go. So with the lights test, you kind of do a panel scan, working your way down here. Mentioned it before, all of these little lights have two bulbs in it, so if one blows, there's another light there for redundancy, and we have the ability to swap them. And checking the MCP, working our way down here. You can check the autopilot and auto throttle status lights and the FMC individually by testing it like that. And that looks like the job's a good one. There we are. And we can now load up the flight management computer. So here is our operational flight plan. Edinburgh to Beauvais. And call sign today will be Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot. We're due out in 13 minutes at half past the hour. Our alternate's Paris Orly, 2.2 tons required. Let's go here to flight management computer. So there we go. You can see we have the U14 software update installed into the ZIBO mod. We're now flying from Edinburgh, so that's Echo Golf Papa Hotel. And we'll take GPS left coordinates. Flying into Beauvais, which I've never been to in real life or the sim. That's there. Our call sign today, as I just mentioned a second ago, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot. Must work very hard today to not say Japan Airlines. Alpaca. Put in big letters in front of me. Alpaca. So hopefully it'll work. John, I miss Microsoft Jade. Yeah, not sure why it's not working. I think... yeah, it should be working fine, but it should be back. There we go, that's all set. Now to put the routing in. So go here to departures, runway 06, respecting the Gossam 1 Delta. Edinburgh very noise sensitive due to the proximity of the city for runway 06. You have to sort of do a loop to the north before you can go south, unfortunately. That's a lot of track miles. But that's all planned for, and the fuel will be taken to account for there as well. Kurosh, how's Tokyo? Very well, thanks. From Gossam, Papa 600 to Fennec. And from Fennec, we are going to Upper Lima 612 to WAD. All of my UK friends and subscribers will be able to notice several cities. We're going right over the top of the UK. Blackpool, Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham. I think we're all pretty much flying overhead all of that today. There's Zidil. We're starting our descent over the south of UK. Mike 605 to Petax. There we are. And from Petax it's going to be Juliet 150 to Velol, and that is the arrival for us into Beauvais. So there is Velol, going to departure arrivals, expecting the Velol 1 Bravo, and it'll be ILS Zulu for 30, and probably fly, if we don't get vectors, the procedural approach via the Beauvais 1 transition. We can activate that, we'll imagine the route's checked, so that is executed. Performance then, 0 fuel weight, 45.8, very low just based off the 32 passengers and crew we have. Our reserves for our alternate Beauvais, I think some of this, so it's going to be, what's that, around 2.2 tonnes, we'll call that. Cost index 30, cruising at 41,000 feet, the maximum altitude today. What I love about the ZIBO mod, the performance when we're light like this is very comparable to how the real aircraft performs as well, so we'll be up at 41,000 feet. If we don't get step climbs, you know, we'll be there in 15, 16 minutes. That's pretty comparable to the performance you're getting with an empty aircraft, so that's really cool to see. Top of climb wind is 080 at 19, so very low winds today. Top of climb ISA is 6. We'll execute that. Average wind is 064 at 14, so let's pop that in here. 064 14. Executes. Back to performance, so that's all in. Performance then, full 22k, and we're pretty much reduced thrust as much as possible. Assumed temperature of 55 degrees Celsius, so we're telling the engines, look, that's the outside air temperature, give me the thrust, full rated thrust based off that. And we're actually planning for an intersection via Bravo, so even if we've reduced 55 degrees at 22k, we could take the Bravo intersection for runway 06 with that light. And based off that, the V-speeds we're expecting are 126, 126, 131. So you can see very low speeds, CG set. And we'll set the trim, 5.5 units. That's coming in, and V2 130 knots. Pretty much is exactly what the OPT is saying. There we are, so that is all set. HK, got to go to bed. Good night, friends. Good night. Thank you very much for tuning in, regardless. I think you're over in India or somewhere like that. Andy, I don't know how you do it, not saying Jal. I flew with a Eurowings call sign on VATSIM last night, said Alpaca 1302 4 times. Andy, you've probably been watching long enough to know I've made the occasional slip up. It happens. We just crack on. Listed the ZIBO slowly evolves into a 737 Classic. It does. Hope you're doing well, buddy, as well. David Hughes, 5 miles from Edinburgh. I can confirm it is a lovely evening. Fantastic. You'll hear us blasting off shortly. Right, the FMS is loaded. We'll have legs on Jim's side. Here's the overhead panel then. So Yaw Damper's on. Nav transfer display switches are normal and auto. Fuel, check the cross-feed valve. Bright, dim, bright, and off. No fuel in the centre tank, so just the main tank pumps to come on. AC DC metering panel is set. Cam utility IV galley power is on. IDG disconnect switches are closed. Fueling should be all done now. Let's have a look at the gauges. I've even selected the original gauges as well instead of the updated digital ones. So 6667, that looks good. We can pop the fastest seatbelt sign on. Panel lighting will turn up as well. Window heat can come on as well. Now this is something I would have done first. So during the setup we have a voice recorder switch. We put this switch on so the cockpit voice recorder picks up all the briefings we're doing. In case there's an incident, we have to pull the CVRCB so they can listen in, make sure we did everything correctly. Doors are open, obviously. Pressurization 0 because everything's open. That's looking good. Trim air on. Pax Auto, forward 0, elevation 350, that should be on steady. Moving to the MCP, so here is the Honeywell MCP. Functionality wise, absolutely no difference to the Collins MCP on the latter NGs. It's just the display. The main difference being the text is not written on the buttons. On the Collins down, the actual text is on the buttons itself. On here, they're written above it. This was basically nicked out of the classic. I think the 737, 300, 400 had this MCP. They just basically, when they made the NG, had this one to start with. But let's have a look at what we need to have set up for our nav aids. So, runway QDM is 061 degrees. We'll pop that in the heading bug. Expecting a stop altitude of 6,000 feet on our departure, so 6,100, just minus we haven't got our clearance yet. Flight directors on, masters on the pilot flying side. V2 set, and then what we got here, we're going to be flying, we want a radial of 257, and there's no real initial radial on departure. We have an immediate turn at 0.5 miles from the DME of the ILS, so it'll be 257, and then off the Turnberry VOR we're going to be flying inbound 217. So let's set that up here. There we go, and initial VOR frequencies we want then will be Glasgow at 15.4, that's the go, 15.4 on standby, and then we'll have Turnberry 17.5, which is already on standby, and for both sides we'll have active the DME for the ILS, which will be 108.9. Oops, no, what am I doing? 15.4, wasn't it? Ah, 17.5. Second one 15.4, and this we want 109.7. So 109.7 active, and 109.7 active this side as well. There we are, so the nav aids are set for departure. Auto brake to RTO, reset the fuel flow, and FMS set, trim set. We work our way down here. Pretty much the pre-flight checks complete. All we've got left to do, guys, is the briefing. Thank you very much, Ian Paris, for the £10 donation. Let's see if it talks.
Good evening,
Yes.
Captain. Glad to see you back flying again. Hope loads pick up soon.
Hopefully,
At your operator, do you use full D rates or assumed temps at 26k?
we do.
Heard that at some operators D rates aren't allowed, although they have the option. Any reason why? Cheers.
No problem, Ian Paris. Thank you very much. Absolutely fine. You can use an assumed temperature with a D rate. So in certain situations, we've taken 26k with assumed temperature just to reduce the thrust to an amount which is
30,
a little bit
20,
better, longer,
10.
better lasting for the engines as we want to do there. So yeah, no problem with ours, Ian. I know your training. Maybe yours is different.
Good
Thanks.
morning, Captain.
Thanks, Dominic.
I interrupted my sim flight as soon as I received the notification today. It's good to be here with all of you.
Oh, thank you very much, Dominic, as well, for the $5. Very kind of you. Thank you so much for popping in as well. Thank you for your continued support as well. And good morning to you from my stateside friends as well. Awesome. So, yeah, Ian, just to go back to your point there. Yeah, we have no limitation. You can take a combination of reduced thrust, so 26, 24, 22k, or an assumed temperature on any of those D rates, no problem whatsoever. We do have a restriction though. If the crosswind is over 10 knots, we cannot take an assumed thrust reduction, so we have to reduce it to 22, 24, 26k. That's a limitation which my operator uses. But yeah, if you ever have any more questions about that, Ian Perez, you know where to fire them off in the Discord. But thank you for your continued support, and good luck with the rest of your ATPL ground studies as well. Mr. Scoofy, is your sim all default apart from scenery and aircraft, or do you use anything custom for sky colours? Yeah, it's all scenery and add-on aircraft. I don't have any textures, changes or colours or anything like that. I used to, but I no longer do now. That's all default. Cool, so let's try and grab a clearance. We do have Edinburgh ground online on 121.75, and then I'll brief you. I'll be running a little bit late today, but it's been nice catching up with you in chat. There you go, that's active.
Okay, Edinburgh ground, Jesus.
First thing we heard today, ladies and gentlemen, was Edinburgh ground, Jesus.
19 Papa said 1 Alpha, push and set approved.
I guess this guy doesn't usually provide ATC here.
Alpaca 1 Sierra Hotel ready for push and start from stand 2-3.
There we go. So what's
And
that?
tax 174, looks like stand 18 was just taken, so if 19 is available to you, you can take that.
Let's pre-plan pushback. So we are going to be only heading in
Alpaca 10 Hotel
direction,
caution
which is
in
this.
text,
actually, you know what? We
800,
could.
taxing stand 119, 20, pushing set approved.
So we actually, I'm not sure the directions. Very occasionally, Edinburgh, I might have been here before. You could go the long way round on the loop here, like this.
And ground apologies, goes Alpha Lima Papa Charlie Alpha. We've got an outdated scenery, is it off?
I'll turn that down for a second. Yes, tug drivers here like to drive on the grass instead of the perfectly concreted ground, but here he is connecting us. We'll get the APU up and running as well whilst that's starting. Mr. Scoofy, how come you uninstalled the custom ones? Just because I heard there were some issues with stability, and basically I tried to run a vanilla simulator as much as possible because a lot of plugins and add-ons can cause instability
50,
to the sim, so
40,
to try not
30,
to make crashes happen
20,
as often as possible.
10.
I try to use as little as possible as well. Thank you
Okay,
very
external
much.
checks are complete. All doors and hatches are closed. We're ready to connect.
Evening, boss. Nice to hear you're in the skies again.
Thank you so much, Steve. Very kind of you. Thanks for your continued support as ever. As a member, I did just see your DM prior to the start of the stream, and I was literally just about to press start. I'll get back to you about your new FMS. Sounds really cool. Thanks for your continued support and donation. Very, very kind indeed. Brandon M. Tug on grass testing tyres. Yes, new off-road tyres needed in Edinburgh here. Alright, let's try again with crown, see if we can get our clearance. What stand are we on? I can't remember now. It's usually painted on the floor. When you do the walk around, you can find out. Stand 27. Thank you. Edinburgh ground, very good evening. Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot stand 27. Departure clearance to Paris Beauvais, please.
Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot Edinburgh ground, hello, you're cleared to Paris, Gossamer Delta departure, spark 0743, QNH 1019.
Cleared to Beauvais, Gossam 1 Delta, squawk 0743, QNH 1019 at Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot.
Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, read back correct, all one fully ready for push and start.
Okay, perfect. So we've got 6,000 feet. We'll then set the squawk 0743. And Gossam 1 Delta, we'll check is in the flight management computer. Excellent. So all I've got left to do, guys, is brief you. So let's fire up the charts. Here we are on stand 27, most likely to be a pushback to face northwest. I'm going to taxi on Golf, either Lima. Well, no, Mike would be only for sort of 2-4 here, so very likely to be Golf Lima onto the Alpha taxiway, and then Alpha we can take intersection Bravo. So if there's aircraft queuing at Alpha 1, it's very cheeky to ask for an intersection prior to departure, unless they are not ready. Sometimes you can get it, but if there's a lot of aircraft queuing, you might as well go full length. Here is our SID then, the Gossam 1 Delta for runway 06, transition altitude 6,000 feet. So let's check the FMS. We have 6,000 feet, so nice little trick here. Now, that should display as 60 in the real aircraft. If you put 6001, it ensures that 6,000 feet set. Now, verified takeoff speeds, that shouldn't come up. Let's make sure they are definitely set. Yeah, no V speeds on the PFD, that was a bit unusual. CPDLC, obviously simulated at the moment. For our departure though, it says at 0.5 DME or 640 feet, whatever comes first. I have this point coded here, 068 Alpha, that'll do for us with the 640 feet. It's going to be a left turn until we get to 3 DME off India Victor Golf. It's not identified at the moment, hopefully it will be, but it is programmed into the FMS. You have the, what we've got here, Delta 051 Charlie, so that's the waypoint there. Why it's 051, I am not so sure. I don't know what the 051 is referencing, but it looks like it's in the right direction for us. So then going to be a left turn 257 until we're 35 miles from Glasgow. Edinburgh 5,000 feet, but below 6,000. That checks. We've got 5,000 feet above. The 30 miles before Glasgow, need to be at 6,000 feet level. Another 13 miles to Cumbo. There's Cumbo, and then we're going to make a left turn to intercept the radial 037, that's 217 inbound, towards Turnberry, and Gossam will be at 34.8 miles away, and we also need to still be at 6,000 feet. Now, if there's no instructions from ATC, you have to maintain 6,000 feet until this point. likely we'll get continuous climbs, so by the time we get to Gossam, unless we've had shortcuts, we'll be well above 6,000 feet here. But you are reminded, don't climb above 6,000 feet until instructed by ATC. You have minimum climb gradients. There's only ever an issue if you're flying, I don't know, something built in the 40s with 4 wet piston engines. Very unlikely to be an issue in a high performance commercial jet airliner unless you're hot and high or have a lot of terrain around, and we've already briefed all those waypoints there. So 3 minutes late, unfortunately. We're all ready to go. We'll now request push and start. Alpaca 5 to Lima Foxtrot stand 27, request push and start.
Alpaca 5 to Lima Foxtrot, I'm just going to check if there's enough room to call you back.
Didn't get a word about something about I'll call you back. Boz, you'll be going up behind my house, I'll wave. Cool, thank you. The Crockett, can I get the Honeywell MCP? You can, it's in the settings. It's in the settings. I think it's been there for the last 3 or 4 versions, so...
Runner 19 Papa Taxi on the Ben Alpha 1, runway 06, flight Echo and Alpha.
Oh, that's good. Look, the doors are open. Thank God for that. Oh dear. I think it was funny enough, it was in Edinburgh when I was last in Edinburgh, I managed to push back with the doors and doors and hatches
behind a Ryanair Boeing 737-800 passing from right to left on Echo. Stand numeral trace, push inside approved, facing north behind.
A lot of aircraft pushing back here everywhere.
Ryanair passes from right to left behind, push inside approved, facing north to Jet 1 Echo up here.
Alpaca 5-2 Lima Foxtrot, I've got that 4K Ultra HD camera from behind. Don't think there's going to be enough room, you might clip his tail, but if you want to go for it, let me know.
Yeah, we'll miss it. Request push start, Alpaca 5-2 Lima Foxtrot.
Alpaca 4-2 Lima Foxtrot, Column 4K, stand 27, push inside approved, facing west.
Push start approved, facing west, Alpaca 5-2 Lima Foxtrot. No problem whatsoever. Real pushback crew might have a slight issue with that.
Ground to cockpit, please show me where you want to go.
But I have full faith in my ground crew. And he'll have taxied past anyway by then. There we go.
Okay,
Alpaca 1 Sierra Hotel, follow company, Golf Lima Alpha Hotel Foxtrot.
APU's on the bus, let's get rid of the ground power. No, it's one of those automatic ones, so packs off.
And Alpaca 3 Echo Bravo, taxi Golf Lima.
As it's on parking brake, we can now
Taxi
release.
Golf Lima, Alpha Hotel Foxtrot.
And we're off.
Golf Lima Alpha Hotel Foxtrot.
Starting pushback, you can start engines when ready.
Alpaca 1 Sierra Hotel, and up and down.
Trying to get the volumes right, this controller. He's very enthusiastic. Something about 4K. I'm guessing he's watching the stream. Don't know. John, lol, the old Alpaca SOPs push back with the doors open for late passengers. That's the one. Oh, look, fire truck's been called on standby as well, as per usual.
Alpaca 1 Sierra Hotel, and up and down. Welcome back. Follow the company, Golf Lima Alpha Hotel Foxtrot.
50, 40,
See how close
30,
we can get.
20, 10.
Thanks again, Vickers. Let's see if it reads it. No. Thanks, Vickers. Went back to lead stream. Learned a bit, but like 10 more hours of practice to fly crosswind, somewhat 10% of your proficiency. Also, how do I get 4910 update for Zebra right now? Just wait. You'll just have to wait for this one, Vickers. It's not quite public yet, but it will be public very soon.
9, our Papa Yankee Edinburgh Tower, 118.7. We love the Rhiners on Twitch.
Look at that. Curved inside the stabilizer. Beautiful. Right, we better start engine. Starting engine number 2. Fire trucks on standby, all these alpacas.
And Alpaca 3 Echo Bravo, looks like you somehow found your way on Mike. Alonso, Alpaca taxi, Mike Alpha, shut down. And Alpaca 1 Sierra, so just like it's just like just follow the company anyways, Mike Alpha, Hotel.
So, N2 all pressure, N1 25%. Try and check the spar valve if you get a chance. So the spar valve goes from dim to bright and off. We monitor that when we put the fuel in.
2 Echo Charlie, Delta taxi on to Alpha 1, runway 06.
Like a glove, exactly.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Thanks, Gerald. Parking brake set.
Disconnecting tool. Standby.
So starter cut out. On change number 2, 2463. 2 is stable.
50,
And starting engine number 1.
30, 20, 10.
Thank you very much, Tao, for your donation. Very kind. Hope you're well, sir. Long time no here.
Hi there, Mr. Sim. Smiley face. Although my flight training has taken a hefty bunch of my time, making me miss much of your streams, I haven't stopped supporting / following you.
I forgive
Glad
you.
to see you're doing all right.
That's very kind, Tal. Thank you so much for popping in. Another generous donation. You've been following Tal for such a long time. I try and keep up with everyone, and I lost where you are in your flight training and what exactly you're doing, but best of luck with it. Thank you so much for your contribution. Very kind, sir. Take care.
The tow is disconnected and the bypass pin's been removed. Hand signals on your left side. You have a safe flight. We'll see you soon.
Cheerio, bye.
Runner 2, Echo, Charlie Delta, 3 letters confusing me. Taxi now.
One thing I just noticed, during the engine start the real aircraft, you have a little engine starter limit, EGT starter limit, exceedance limit. That sort of isn't there at the moment. Well, I think it's there, but it goes too early. It should disappear about a couple of seconds after the starter cut lights extinguish, but I'll let ZIBO know. Thanks a lot, Tom Knudsen.
Alpacas do not have teeth in the top front of their mouths, so no danger of whistling on board.
Thanks a lot, Tom Knudsen. You learn something new every day. I think most guys here learn something aviation related. But...
All stations, do QNH 1010. Information Charlie's not current. Charlotte.
1020, I think he said. We'll set that again in a second. Oh my goodness me, so much distraction. Thank you very much, Tom Knudsen. He's been following the channel for a very long time, one of the old members on the channel. I hope you're doing well, buddy. Take care of yourself, and thanks for popping in.
Echo Charlie Delta's a Ryanair fan. I hate to say this, but give way to the Alpaca, Boeing 737-800.
Oh, poor Ryanair's having to give way to the Alpacas today.
Great.
Right, left. Recall. Black below to you. I feel like I've forgotten something. I'm going to actually read the checklist, which I never do during a stream, because I feel like I've forgotten something. Generators on, APU off, start switch is continuous. Propy on, anti-ice off. Pax auto, bleeds on, isolation valve auto, flaps, 5, green light. And stab trim 7 departure, recall. What was the recall I didn't do? Checks complete. Thank you very much, Tom Knudsen. There you go. So alpacas don't have teeth in the front of their mouths, so no danger of whistling on board. Facts galore.
You are clear to some airport in Paris. Gossamer Delta, 5013, QNH 1018.
This guy's fantastic. Did you say QNH 1018? I think he said it's 1020. I'm going to double check it myself. So as soon as this guy's read it back, we'll request that.
Give way to the Ryanair Boeing 737.
It's 1018, that's the new
right
QNH.
onto Alpha, then follow him. Alpha, hold Alpha 1. Follow the Ryanair Alpha 1. Look us up the street.
Alpaca 52 Lima, Foxtrot request taxi.
Alpaca 52 Lima, Foxtrot taxi, Golf Lima Alpha, hold short Echo.
Golf Lima Alpha, hold short of Echo. Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot. So we're being clear taxi. Golf Lima Alpha, hold short of Echo. There is Echo. So Golf Lima Alpha, hold short of Echo. So we've got to hold short of this intersection here, the Echo taxiway. So Alpha 13 was usually what they'd say, but that'll work out perfectly. Right. Turn off taxis on. There we are, parking brake is released. I'm going to mute you all now. There we are, and let's go. Config. There we are, no takeoff config warning, and we're on our way to Paris Beauvais. Excellent. Louis, I've been lost somewhere in Frankfurt, but I never got cleared to some airport. Oh dear. Now I was mentioning, talking about ATC banter. I was mentioning to some of the Discord members yesterday on VC, was doing a test sector. 2 days ago I was flying back to the UK from some destination in Spain, let's say, and it's quite choppy. We had light moderate turbulence, so usually report these things. And it just happened to be when I reported this turbulence to London, we were right in it, so when I checked it I was like, it's light to moderate turbulence, you could hear it in my voice, and the London controller went, "Oh, are you okay there?" And I was like, yeah, fine, thanks. And, he said, "What's the ride like?" So it's like light moderate turbulence. And no problem. Anyway, turbulence stops. We checked in with the next frequency, and he said, "How's the ride now?" It's completely smooth. Thank you very much for your concern earlier. He just went, "I won't last. Bye." I was like, "Oh, bye then." So you get this great banter sometimes in real life as well.
I like 708, contact out of a tower, 118 decimal.
Here's Lima.
118 decimal 7, mixed up my numbers there,
All other aircraft must yield to the alpaca stampede.
You should definitely be on Terrace frequency, 118.7. 118.7, Alpaca 1 Sierra Hotel, bye-bye. Alpaca 738, you should be on
Beautiful scenery for Orbex here. I really like their series. It makes the airport feel really alive with the trucks going around, and obviously
that's another American.
VATSIM improves it there as well. Hack to the Scratch Golf, where's your Discord link? The Discord is a members only perk, so I don't have a public Discord, so it's a members only perk.
Ryder 100 Tango, false member of 100 Thieves, readability fine. Ryanair on the clock.
We've got Ryanair's banter around.
Pushback and Startup, contact Edinburgh Tower 118.7. Bye-bye. Tower 118.7, Pushback see ya.
And Echo.
Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, continue taxi, Holly Point Alpha 1, runway 06 by Alpha.
Taxi Holly Point, runway 06, and Alpha, on Alpha, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot. Perfect.
Alpaca 84 Charlie,
so cleared all the way to the end.
Lima Alpha, hold Alpha 1, behind.
Do a little taxi past.
FedEx 22 Golf, never got a reback on your clearance, boss. So if I could get that reback, or if you want another reback, I can give it to you.
Not ready, but can you say again?
Awesome.
Nah, no worries, boss. You're cleared to Paris Beauvais, go somewhere Delta.
Oggy says, look how 99% of everyone's going to Paris, I know. And it's not even a large Paris airport, there's no VATSIM event or anything. I hope someone comes online to help coordinate all this later. So as soon as we get handed over to Tower, we'll do the before takeoff checklist so you're not distracted by the voice me containing that. John, love this controller. He was in Edinburgh yesterday. Also had an awesome controller. Very cool. That's where they do all the fire training at Edinburgh. Blue aircraft. That's just like in real life. Get a lot of spotters here at the weekend along this fence, which is pretty cool. Astrogy, why did you go to Beauvais rather than Charles de Gaulle? Well, it's been requested quite a few times. A lot of people like to fly with kind of Wizz Air and Ryanair on the network on VATSIM, so this is a popular destination for those aircraft. So yeah, I thought we'd go.
Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, you got a mini herd of alpacas in front of you, and the best airline in Europe, but Ryanair slipped in there, and the TUI did as well. You can contact Edinburgh Tower 118.7. Au revoir.
118.7 Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot. Au revoir. Amazing. Talking about Ryanair and TUI slipping away. Right, anyway, well, let's do the before takeoff checklist now. So config we checked. Flaps we have 5.5 green lights. Stab trim set for departure. 5.5 units set. Takeoff briefing. Pax auto. Bleeds on. V speeds are set for departure. 126, 126, 130 set. The SID is going to be the Gossab 1 Delta, climbing straight ahead till 640 feet and a slight left turn till 3 miles. Then we'll make a left turn initially inbound to the Glasgow VOR. Stop altitude 6,000 feet, which is set in the MCP as well. It's an NADP 1 departure here, so we'll accelerate at 3,000 feet AGL, buck up and retract the flaps on schedule. Nothing else really threat-wise. Weather's really nice. Any major problems, we can come straight back into here. That's it, reviewed, and we'll make sure the cabin is now secure. Just flick the wing light so we get a nice little audio from the cabin crew.
122.8, thanks for the ATC, sir, bye-bye. See ya.
Oh, we've got to do a SEO when we check out as well, haven't we? There we are. Margaret's given us cabin secure. So we'll put that old no smoking switch sign. It's exactly what it has. We have on. It's exactly like how. There, let me start again. It's exactly how we have it in our aircraft. The old no smoking sign. We have an in-op sticker there, and we use it as the cabin secure, cabin not secure switch, which is pretty cool. CH, what's the cost index for today? We use 30 here at Alpaca Air. It's a fixed cost index. Lauren V says, brakes, Captain. Well, you were a little concerned I was going to go straight into the rear of the TUI, I believe. But no, we kept a suitable distance. Hope you're doing very well as well. Hello, London Controller. He's here as well. Well-known Twitch streamer. Where's our ATC, London Controller? We've got plenty of ATC, to be fair. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Tom, Captain, where do you find out if it's NADP 1 or 2? Now, not many charts will mention it, Tom Bollock, but some do on the SID. It will specify an ADP 1 or 2. For us, it all comes from our operators' airfield briefing charts. So if we have a specific airport, we'll have a special document for that airport, which discusses all the quirks, the you know, the threats associated with this airport, and it'll always generally mention NADP 1 or 2. If it doesn't mention anything, the default is NADP 2, which is, I'd say, is about 90-ish% of departures are NADP 2. But here it's 1 because off runway 24 here it's NADP 2, but 06 is NADP 1, and that's because Edinburgh obviously is over here. So they're trying to minimise the amount of noise close to the airport with an ADP 1 departure. What difference it makes, I have no idea, but someone in an office makes these decisions. Hello Bobby Fuzzy, hope you're doing well. Ninja Man 344, why isn't your TCAS on yet? Is that a European thing? So with the TCAS in out off, this position here, if they have ground-based SSR radar, they can see us. We only select TR8 when we line up. The reason is, if an aircraft's coming into land and you have TA or TARA, and you're going to come up as a displayed traffic and potentially approximate traffic, so it'll have a big yellow circle on someone's ND. So you only want to turn it on when you've been cleared to enter the active runway. Did I check in with Tower? I've been chatting away so much I can't remember if I did. Lucian, is the flight model of this plane realistic? It's one of the most realistic 737s available in a desktop simulator, because it takes advantage of the blade element theory, which Lambda research has developed. So if a developer takes the time to make a sort of a correctly shaped aircraft, and there's some invisible features on this aircraft which you can't actually see, which helps manipulate the airflow to make it feel a bit more like a 737. You know, the attitude thrust settings are spot on. You'll see today we're extremely light. The performance of the aircraft as well is comparable to a light 737 as well. So we're going to have climb rates, you know, above 15,000 feet, in excess of 3,500, 4,000 feet per minute, which is completely normal in this aircraft. Completely normal. Kevin, estimated flight time, and can we get a PA? Flight time will be 1 hour 25. Would you like me to do a PA? I can do a PA if you really want me to. We should do it prior to taxiing, but if you'd like me to, I might do one. Gino, that's strange. When I was departing Brussels, they asked me to switch to mode C when I was requesting pushback. So yeah, out off. I don't know, some airports might be different. That just could be a VATSIM thing. So you don't want to be much closer than we are now. Otherwise, the main issue is you'll be ingesting all the fumes from the engine ahead. There we are. Anyway, number 2 for departure. Stephen, I'm still on ground, am I? Thanks. Tower 118 decimal 7. No, I'm still with Tower, but I can't remember if I just checked in or not. I've got a funny feeling I didn't.
Clear land runway 06, FedEx 142, thanks.
Edinburgh Tower, hello, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, holding 0.06, ready for departure in sequence. I didn't check in.
22.8, Alpaca 73.
Oops, did I step on someone? Is aircraft on final as well? Tower, good day, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, holding 0.06, ready for departure in sequence.
Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, Edinburgh Tower, good afternoon, continue holding.
We'll count Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot. Excellent. ACC Original says, I know it's the UK, but no left-hand traffic on taxiways, please, mister. A little bit left. I should think that's to do with scenery. Might have slightly different scenery. Look at Alpaca Airbus. I know, Andy. Unbelievable. Who is this?
2 Jet 1 Echo Romeo behind the landing, FedEx Boeing 757. Fire Alpha 1, line up runway 06, behind. Flight landing FedEx 757, runway 06.
So there's a FedEx 757 bringing in some supplies from the US.
Behind.
Behind. There he is. Sweet. John, the ATC has so much energy. What coffee are they drinking? And where do I get some? Very, very much perked up for today's ATC session. There we are. Anyway, thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. If you have just tuned in, we're in the ZIBO MOD 737 today, flying from Edinburgh to Paris Beauvais in a pre-release version 349.10. A lot of the new features you see, the Honeywell MCP, we have a little Yaw Damper gauge here, the standby instruments, all kind of representing the original NGs that came out of the factory when it was first produced in the very late 90s and the 2000s as well, before more additional features around it. I've even gone back to the original halogen retractable lights today as well. We'll be demonstrating the U14 FMS update in Descent as well, with how that works. There is a little bug with that, but also ZIBO is aware of that. That will be fixed prior to release. And also, what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, any of you who have been flying at 41,000 feet might have known in the ZIBO mod there was a bug where if you're at the maximum cruising altitude, VNAV wouldn't work in the initial part of a descent. That has also been rectified now as well. Oh yeah, and as ever, if you are enjoying the video, I always ask if you could smash the thumbs up button as well. A whopping 620 people watching and only 188 likes. It's very upsetting. Thanks guys, helps a lot for the channel.
Alpaca 84, Charlie Mike, Edinburgh, good afternoon.
Fazio and Ryanair, 2 Echo, Charlie Delta's me, first flight on the stream. Very cool, enjoy your flight, Faison.
FedEx 142, thanks for flying into Edinburgh, contact Edinburgh ground on 121.
We didn't see FedEx's landing, but he made a good exit. FedEx 76 taxiing out as well, there's a Ryanair behind us.
2 Jet 1 Echo Romeo, service wind 050 degrees, 09 knots, runway 06, clear for takeoff.
Okay, good. CH, are the landing lights on? They will be when we get cleared to line up or take off. What you see before you is exactly what I do in my day job, basically. So just waiting up for that line-up clearance. Adam, how much cargo weight do you carry on average in the 737? Well, typical fully loaded 180 odd passengers plus their bags, traffic loads around 25-ish tons or something. Easily, no problem.
Tower Ryanair 100 Tango is taxiing Alpha 1.
And there's 2
Ryanair
taking off.
100 Tango, Edinburgh Tower, good afternoon, continue.
So hopefully we're clear to line up.
Taxi Alpha 1, Ryanair 100 Tango.
Alpaca 52 Liver Foxfire Alpha 1, line up runway 06.
Via Alpha 1 line up weight runway 06, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot. So Jim, confirm reback. He would say, yeah, cleared line up and weight, clear left, clear right. And let's do the checklist below the line. So lights on, turn the taxi light off, which reminds us we don't have takeoff clearance. LNAV, auto throttle, weather radar on, transponder to TARA. So MCP is set, transponder TARA, and strobe lights are on, just waiting for our takeoff clearance.
2 Jet 1 Echo Romeo, nothing further on Unicorn 122.8, have a good flight, see you!
Oh, I've got to do the CEO when we check out as well. Excellent. There we are. Just waiting for a takeoff clearance, guys. CH, so no more broadsword anymore. We haven't used broadsword for about a year and a half until we started our unofficial virtual airline. We're Alpaca Airways all the way. We do monthly group flights with 60, 70 aircraft alpacas swarming in on some airport on the VATS network, causing chaos. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, your time has come. Surface wind 050 degrees, 09 knots, runway 06, clear for takeoff.
Right, 06, clear take off, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot. Landing lights on, checks complete, togas in chat. Let's go to Paris Beauvais. Let's go to Disneyland. Right, 40% N1. Stabilise, push toga, set takeoff thrust. There we are. Very low, 86.5% takeoff thrust set indications. Oh, that's because we took such a reduced thrust setting. We're so light today.
80 knots.
Checked, release the forward pressure. There's
E1.
Up we go. 2 to 2.5 degrees per second. When we're very light, the aircraft comes off the ground very easily. Gears coming up and trim. And on
Tower,
to the flight
good evening.
directors.
FedEx 2 Golf Heavy approaching 06. FedEx 2 Golf at the tower, good afternoon. Alpaca 84 Charlie Mike, fire Alpha 1, line up runway 06.
There we are, so there's that slight left turn. Just again following the flight directors. Remember, it's NADP1, so we're going to maintain this speed around V2 plus 20 until we're 3,000 feet AGL. There we go. Sort of blocking the frequency, I think. There we
Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, unfortunately nothing further, Monster Unicorn 122.8, have good flights there, a lot of Mickey from it.
122.8, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot will do. See ya! Oh dear, right, bug up. Oh, if my boss could see this. Oh dear. Actually, he knows about the channel. Well, my local boss, we have a head of base boss. Anyway, VT plus 15, selecting flaps 1. And flaps up. I'm just following the flight directors nicely. I'll get that autopilot in. The reason is we're going to have a beautiful view. Yeah. You want to be really engaging the autopilot in the turn. Make sure we're in trim here as well. So there we are. Command A. And vertical speed, we'll just set 1,000 feet per minute.
For Charlie Mike, surface wind 0.
Got to push the button. There we are. 1,000 feet set. Just accelerate to 220 knots. We'll just level off at 6,000 feet because look at that view. You've got the 3 Scottish bridges. I forget the names of them. The Forth Bridge and the other one, and there's Edinburgh as well. Very nice. Comes with the Orbex True Earth scenery. Really, really nice here. Sweet, isn't it? I think Orbex True Earth looks mega. Awesome. Let's do the after takeoff checklist. There's 6,000 feet, so we'll just stay here for a second. Water brake off, gears off, start switches off. Very common, you know, departing from Edinburgh. How do I know this? You often have to be level at 6,000 feet for a short while due to traffic, and then you get your continuous climb. It also conflicts with Glasgow arrivals and departures. So that's all set. So air conditioning pressurization 2.2, auto, and set. And we'll get a continuous climb. There's no ATC, so we'll go straight up to 410, just to kind of show you the performance of the aircraft as well. Bear in mind we're being level for a minute. We'll see how long it takes to get there. So 410, VNAV, set standard, passing 5-9, flight level 410, and the after takeoff checklist is complete. The 3 Scottish bridges. I know. I lived around here for a short while. Oh dear. I'm setting my fellow countrymen in the not too distant future if I keep on doing things like that. Oh dear, oh dear. So you can see already, in reduced climb thrust here at 250 knots, we're able to sort of sustain a climb rate of 3,500–4,000 feet per minute. That is exactly what you'd be getting at the real aircraft at this gross weight as well. Very realistic. There's no limit on the rate of climb as well. The pressurization system's designed to keep up with it as well. The cabin altitude rate of climb doesn't usually exceed 750, usually 500, but it'll go up to 750 to keep up. I've noticed, but there's no real guidance on that. So yeah, great performance. Do you notice that attitude from the cabin? Not really. So, you know, if you're a passenger looking out the window, you just tell you're climbing. You wouldn't actually necessarily realise you're at 4,000 feet per minute. There we are. So what happens next from Edinburgh? Glasgow is here as well. You often have to fly this routing in full. If it's very quiet, you get a direct to NAVSO like this. But at the moment, there's you know, we'll fly the full routing here, so we have the full flight time available as well. But that direct to NAVSO gives you good fuel savings because you don't have to go in this direction with full climb thrust. And at the moment, you know, you're burning a lot of fuel.
50,
best part of
40,
what's that?
30,
6 tons an hour,
20,
5.5 tons an hour.
10.
Thanks a lot, Tim Fraser, for the £5. Hope you're well.
I flew a real plane for the first time today and absolutely loved it.
That was you, John.
Thanks for the continuing inspiration to follow my dream of pilothood.
That's amazing.
50,
Well, let
40,
me just... Oh, so
30,
much going on.
20,
Right.
10.
I'll play yours in a second. I just want to say again a massive thanks to John there first. Just got the picture to it. John said I flew a real plane for the first time today. absolutely loved it. Thanks for the continuing inspiration to follow my dream of pilothood. Well, thank you so much, John Padfield. You've been a member now for a few months. I'm glad you're enjoying your experience as a Flight Data Sim member. Thank you for your continued support and another generous donation. Amazing. Did you tell us on Discord about it? If you did, I'm sorry if I missed it, but amazing, amazing. Thanks again, Tim Fraser, one of my oldest members on the channel. I'll re-ding you, don't worry. I'll make sure it gets read before. Let's do the pre-cruise checks as well.
30, 20,
fuel 4 pumps, lights, logos off, APs on, pressurization is set.
Saw a beauty of a 747,300 heading to Houston from EGNX 3 weeks ago.
Oh, very nice.
JAL have regular departures from EGPH. I've seen them on FR24. Thumbs up.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Tim Fraser, for your £5. Very kind. You saw a beautiful classic leaving EGNX 3 weeks ago. JAL have regular departures from Edinburgh. I've seen on FR24. They're there all the time. Thank you very much, Tim Fraser. Thanks for your continued support. That's very, very kind of you. Awesome. So, yeah, pre-cruise checks for those of you who are perhaps quite new to the streams here. So at 10,000 feet, what we do, we check the overhead panel, make sure we have the fuel configured. We might have had the centre tank pumps off for takeoff to avoid any master caution lights, so check the fuel configuration. Having a quick glance at the gauges, make sure we have what we're expecting, which we do. Lights coming off, we check the APU is off. That might have been running in case we did a bleeds off takeoff, so as a reminder in case you missed that. Check the pressurization every 10,000 feet. Most importantly, it's the big needle, that's the differential pressure, which is at the moment is around 6 psi. Cabin rate of climbs climbing, as is the cabin altitude. And check that the pressurization mode selected as an auto, configuration of the switches, and the temperatures are all happy as well. Then push recall. And that's it. We've completed the pre-takeoff checks there, which is pretty cool.
50,
oh my
40,
goodness, guys.
30, 20,
Tom
10.
again. Oh my goodness. Thanks, Tom.
How about doing Rome Formula 1 flight legs land at airports near race courses? Suggest you start with Le Castellet Airport LFMQ, where French Grand Prix was on June 2nd.
Thank you very much, Tom Dudson, for your £5 very kind donation. Again, it's most certainly not needed. I do my best to try and keep up with everyone on chat whilst we're streaming there, so thank you, buddy. Now, yes, it's just getting the time, Tom, because I'm actually, work's picking up. I'm set to do 60 hours in the next 28 days or so, so, you know, probably 20 hours less than what I'd be doing normally this time of year. So this weekend I've been working the entire weekend. This Saturday I'm working as well, and after that we're going to be doing a race on Alpaca, Assetto Corsa Competizione on the second channel with some of the other members as well. But no, I've already done one flight based off the Formula 1 race in Barcelona. I took the BAE 146 from Just Flight, sort of simulated taking execs from their base in Biggin Hill. But no, I'll try and build some streams around the Formula 1. You know, I'm a huge Formula 1 fan, a lot of the viewers are as well, so thanks a lot for your suggestion, Tom. Moving forward, I'll perhaps look into doing a few more flights like that. Thanks, buddy. Cool. Let's have a look at our ETA then. 1821 is an hour and 15 minutes from now. We should be touching down in Paris Beauvais. Look at the scenery here. I think it's worthwhile doing a little external view, which I don't often do. Let me just turn the noise down here so I don't deafen anyone. There we are. Ah, yes, that's beautiful. I'll put a nice little bit of background music whilst we enjoy those views as well. So remember, this isn't Ortho 4XP, this is Orbex True Earth scenery. You can even see the windmills, well, they're generating a significant amount of electricity today at the rate they're spinning. End plane, I would love to get this update. It should be made public as soon as possible. John, congrats on the 60 hours, Captain. Glad to hear you're flying so much. I know it's picked up, as I was saying earlier, first 5-day week in a very long time. However, next week I'm only flying one day, and that's Saturday. The rest I'm back on furlough, so the airline's still utilising the furlough scheme offered by the government, and that will be continuing until the foreseeable future, as long as it's available. You know, there's still not enough demand in the UK, but hopefully things will be changing in the not too distant future. End plane, can you select between the new and old ZIBO 737? So yes, you can sort of customise your ZIBO mod now based off a brand new 737 with the sort of digital overhead panel without the standby instruments, the original analog ones, the lights, the configs on the displays as well, or like today you can have the one we have, which is like an NG, one of the first ones coming out of the factory. There we are. So here we go, look, 27,500 feet. We're still able to maintain 2,000 feet per minute. We've been airborne for 11 minutes, minus the fact that we were actually level for 6,000 feet for a minute. So it's only taken us 10 minutes of continuous climb to get to 30,000 feet. Pretty accurate for an empty 737, if you ask me. It's really, really cool to see. Fully loaded at 75 tons, we'd be barely pushing 1,000 feet per minute at the moment. Probably maximum cruise altitude around 340, 350 fully loaded. You certainly wouldn't be able to get up to 410 unless you're very light. But I'm spending most of my time at flight level 410 at the moment. Thanks a lot, Hendrik Olsen, for your comment. Stefan, London Control is online for Midweek Madness. Now, I did consider going into Gatwick today, but I've already done a Midweek Madness to Gatwick before. I would like to do all of them, so I've done Midweek Madness for Gatwick, for Isle of Man, and I think another one. I haven't done Manchester, I haven't done Leeds. I was sort of considering doing one of them today, but I thought, no, what, I really want to sort of demonstrate the ZIBO mods features and the changes here. It'd be a little bit easier if we're going to an airport not involved with any fancy events today. John Franco, the mere fact that you still have a pilot job has to be a win. Absolutely, John Franco. I can't stress how fortunate I am with regards to that as well. I have a lot of friends who have lost their job, who have either completed flight training and cannot get a job. Some facts for you at the moment in the UK. There are currently 5,000 unemployed pilots. I'm talking about pilots who have the qualifications to get a right-hand seat job to fly a commercial aircraft, and that's a mixture of guys who have finished their flight training right up to experienced guys who are unfortunately made redundant. Limited opportunities, a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I think Flybe announced that they might be restarting operations. They made a post on LinkedIn this week, and that's really positive news. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. You know, I'd like to think in a year's time we'll be still streaming and we'll be sat here talking about guys, you know, flying here, there, and everywhere, you know, this week. It'll be great to say. And my thoughts obviously with my friends who are looking for a job. Gino, quick question. When you enter your payload, I've seen you put the amount of passengers in and then click the P symbol on the number pad, but when I do it, it just rejects it. Now, you should be able to select the P button and then enter the number. If it's not working, sounds like it could be some sort of bug. I mean, you can put the weight in manually in kilos, so if you want to just type, you know, if you want to take 100 passengers, times that by 84, which is the standard weight given for an adult passenger, and then you can put it in manually. That was one way to get it around there, but it'd be probably best to update it and see if that will fix the issue. Steve, is the aircraft not following 40, the magenta line still?
30,
that looks pretty much
10.
Bang on, Steve. That's exactly what I'd be expecting to see. Oh my goodness, thanks Luigi.
Hopefully I get played by the helium voice. This is me showing some love to this awesome family.
Oh, Luigi, that's very kind. Thank you very much for your generosity, and again, another member coming in a donation. That's very kind, and I hope you're enjoying your time as a member as well, buddy. Thanks, man. That's crazy. Thanks for the very generous donation in Mexican dollars. That's crazy, man. Thank you. Awesome. Who else have we got here chatting away?
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
I think someone subscribed. Thank you everyone that's subscribed. My goodness, thank you very much as well, Robbie Pierce, for the tenner.
Thanks for all the great content you provide.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thoroughly enjoy your videos. Long live VCP.
Thank you very much, Robbie Pierce, for the £10. Long live VCP, he says. That's very kind. Thanks for the tenner, buddy, wherever you are in the UK. And glad you enjoy the content, and thank you so much for your contribution as well. Guys, very generously, please, you know, just enjoy the show. That's all I'll ever ever ask of anyone there. Thank you to whoever that was joining as a member as well. Successful Goose, you have successfully joined as a member. Thank you very much. You'll get invited to our members only Discord. Enjoy using your custom modes and chat as well. To the 2 members who have just recently joined, if you want to join the Discord, how it works is if you type in Google YouTube Discord synchronization, follow those steps, and that's how you'll get your invite. If you have any problems, drop me a message on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or email, and we'll get you sorted. Right, anyway, I best check in with someone. Oh no, it's a colleague. Alpaca 738, it says I can't comment in chat, so I'll ask here, when's your next Canadian stream? My goodness, James. I mean, really, I don't really, I sort of at the moment plan streams at short notice. I mean, my next stream is always going to be a ZIBO mod stream. I think whilst I'm still fresh, I might jump in the PMDG DC6 again. I haven't forgotten too much about that, so I might do a streaming, perhaps Canada. I like to utilise Microsoft Flight Simulator to go outside of Europe, where I don't have the Ortho 4XP and tiles, so yeah, I might go there in the DC6, but yeah, we'll see. Thank you very much for your message on that, Mr. Alpaca 738. Dylan Hartley, so what's the new updates apart from the Honeywell? So you have here a Yaw Damper gauge, which was built on the original 737s to show you the position of the rudder based off Yaw Damper inputs. Absolutely no practical use whatsoever, so Boeing removed it. The standby instruments, which are fitted to older generations. The Honeywell MCP, which is rather cosmetic. Quite a cool update, which I can only really demonstrate in the descent, is the U14 FMS update. So when we get to 410, I'll just briefly explain what this update does. ZIBO's sort of got it all working correctly now. It's just a minor bug with an FMA display, which I'll highlight, but otherwise it's all working as it should. Justin Pope, the old paddle isn't as classic as the Blérios, but enjoyable nonetheless. Yes, I think Blériot would have been quite shocked if he'd seen something like that on his Blériot 11. Windows Tech Support, where to get European Ortho. The best source is Bing Maps, I think. That's the one I've always used, unless that's changed. Speedbird Gaming, does your airline use split skimiters? That's something I don't usually go into detail and divulge. Hello, aspiring aviator. Hello, is Alpaca a virtual airline, or what is it? I've noticed people fly it a lot in Europe. Thanks, aspiring aviator. I guess you're new here. So Alpaca Airways is our unofficial virtual airline, which we've been using for over a year now. For example, if you go on my main channel, look at my playlist, take a look at the members group flights, and you'll have an idea of the kind of carnage to choose. But it's professional carnage. All the guys do a fantastic job in replicating real world procedures. That's those taking part in the group flight
50,
or use the Alpaca call sign, and with
30,
VNAV ATC.
20,
It's really nice
10.
to see. Thank you very much, Aidan Thomas, for the €5.
Thanks for flying out of EGPH, mate. Was fun being tower for you. Although I don't think he'll be logging off anytime soon with the traffic you've left.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Aidan Thomas, for the €5. Very kind of you. Excellent ATC. Very enthusiastic. And I love the seers as well. And thank you for popping in for a donation. Most generous of you. Certainly never requested, but thanks, buddy, and thank you a lot. Thanks a lot for the ATC, and to your colleague, if you could pass the message on, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. There we are. Look at that view. Beautiful. So northwest Scotland. If I try and guess where we are exactly, let's get the map out. There's Carlisle off to the right. Carlisle reference before for my Scottish English mistake. Right over top of Kendal, Lancaster, Preston, Manchester coming up. They are looking beautiful. Thanks, Aidan Thomas. My pleasure. Will do. Thank you. Nicholas, do you prefer the Honeywell or the Collins MCP? Generally, not much preference. I'll just touch the buttons on whichever one we have. But the Honeywell MCP, you don't see much around on the NGs anymore. Speckle X-Plane still has its charm despite Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's still an excellent simulator. This whole X-Plane Microsoft Flight Simulator debate, which one's best, it really depends on what you want to get out of it. I love both sims, genuinely. You know, I'm a 737 pilot, so of course I'm going to be flying the ZIBO mod and X-Plane 11 still. And even when PMDG releases their 737, I will still utilise the ZIBO mod in X-Plane 11 and use both sims as well. Loved the DC6 stream last time as well. Microsoft Flight Simulator's maturing more and more, but yeah, still, this is my primary simulator, X-Plane 11. Diaload, I love your streams, thank you. CH says higher flight level result in lower Mach speed. You're at Mach 7.6 with a cost index of 30. That's completely fine. Maybe I'd expect it to be actually a little bit higher with cost index 30 here, maybe 7.7 or so. ZIBO has modelled for most flight levels the correct Mach number based off your cost index. There are other factors such as headwind, tailwind component, but that isn't so much today. So if you have a stronger headwind component, it'll generate a higher Mach number. Conversely, a higher tailwind component, it'll have a lower Mach number as well. Ah yes, Carlisle, the city of Scotland. England. Oh dear. Frederick, the customisation options on the ZIBO save to livery, or does it apply across all liveries? It's saved to the livery, Frederick Velland, so if I was to load up my other Alpaca Airways liveried aircraft, I wouldn't have this configuration. It's saved to the livery. NSER, hi Captain, I would like to ask you something. I once had an IS disagree message on my PFD, and after a couple of seconds an overspeed warning started to go off. What would you do in this situation? Great question, NS. Airspeed unreliable, something pretty nasty. In fact, it's demonstrated throughout the type rating. They have pretty much an entire session which looks at airspeed unreliable in various situations here as well. So you do want to take off, climb and descent, but if you to experience an airspeed unreliable, we actually have some memory items to apply. So the first thing is to recognise the situation with what's going on, because the flight directors and automation are usually based off pitching or following a speed, so they'll be all incorrect there. So you disconnect all the automation, you turn off the flight directors, then depending on your configuration, if your flaps are extended, you'll set an altitude of 10 degrees and 80% M1. If the flaps are up, you set 4 degrees and 75% M1, and then just accept the rate of climb, rate of descent until you've established which source of airspeed unreliable is unreliable, or more importantly, what is reliable and what you can use, and we declare a pattern. Request a block altitude as well. But yeah, very nasty. It's caused many crashes in the past. Most famously, a 757 in, I think it was the Caribbean or South America or North America. They had a WASP in the airspeed unreliable. They took off. The crew didn't recognise the situation. They crashed. But yeah, that's stressed in training now. Right, London is requesting to be contacted on 133.7. So I keep forgetting I've got a radio tuning panel, so I might as well utilise that. Check in with London Centre. London, hello, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, maintaining flight level 410 Lakey.
Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, London Control, roger.
Perfect, so we've got ATC, which is fantastic.
Yeah, London Control, good day to you.
40, 30, 20, 10.
Thank you very much, Conlift Burn, for the £2. Very kind of you. He's utilised the cool pair emoji. Thank you very much, Conlift Burn, for your emoji. Very kind. Hope you're doing well, sir, and take care of yourself. Mehmet Salami, is it possible to change pounds to kilos in the FMS? Yeah, for us, no. I think you can go into the options and change the weights referenced from pounds to kilos and vice versa. You can in the mod as well, but being in Europe, we reference kilos compared to our US friends who are referencing pounds. Brandon, Microsoft Flight Simulator PMDG 737, I think it won't be ZIBO level till months after release, if it be anything like the Aerosoft CRJ. Yeah, it'll probably come out with some minor bugs and things like that, and I hope PMDG will take on board any feedback from the community as well. I think they've improved with regards to that in the last few years, because all aircraft have bugs and slight quirks. It's about kind of,
London, hello,
accepting them. I wouldn't say accepting, but they happen. There's bugs in the ZIBO mod every single day. There's like a slight quirk, but the actual overall experience is what's important. The overall experience in this aircraft particularly is incredible. So, as with several other aircraft as well.
Book 0535, Lister 1 Lima arrival for 152.
Africana, probably a new question, Captain. How do you bank the plane? The yoke keeps the plane stable to control the yaw. Do you use the dial thing manually? Or set the heading and keep the plane stable? So with the automation Africana in the 737, the autopilot's not making any inputs on the rudder. It's just using the elevator and roll. And the main way we turn it is by using the flight management computer, and it follows the magenta line. See down here a bit. We could also select heading select, and we just simply set the magnetic heading we want to fly. And the aircraft, as you can see here, will bank to fly that heading. It's simple as that with the automation. It really is. Go back to LFOB here. So the autopilot's making those inputs on the control column to turn the aircraft down to stabilise and trim as well if required. Brandon, what's the relationship between cost index and performance? Lower cost index equals more expensive due to better performance. So it's a complicated equation, Brandon, worked out by the operations department and the commercial aspect of things as well. Essentially, the higher the number, the faster you go, but the more fuel you burn, but the engines are running for less time. The lower the cost index, the slower you go, but obviously the engines running longer, and it's a complex equation. You know, we have variable cost index. Sometimes it can be as low as 0. I've had cost index 100 flight plans as well, for running late especially, or if there's a curfew at the airport you're flying into. But yeah, we just set whatever's on the flight plan and go from there. As for aviation, how do I install this update? Not quite available yet at the moment. I was testing it today. Excellent. 208. We'll start setting up in around 10 minutes or so. There we are. Someone asked how many FPS am I getting? About 35, 30? I run Vulcan as well.
Hello, new squawk 7603. 7602, Alpaca 12 Foxtrot.
Brandon, I see optimization of engine running fuel savings. Yes, and I think there's some other equations get involved as well. Simply for us, we just punch in the cost index into the flight management computer. Simple as that. Vanguard, have you been approached by PMDG for feedback? I haven't. I do provide feedback to some other devs though, but it's usually some theoretical thing which I have to double check myself anyway.
Non-control speedbird 526 with you, flight level 290, direct Ringo.
Yeah, we spend much time at 41,000 feet during streams, but yeah guys, I'm at 40 or 41,000 feet in every sector at the moment. John Franco, yeah, there you go. I preempted your question.
London, good evening.
Flight 410 pretty much all the time, even in the UK at the moment.
Flight level 310 inbound team cross. Alpaca 3 Kilo Alpha, London Control, hello, fly heading 155. Heading 155, Alpaca 3 Kilo Alpha. London Control, very good afternoon. When they flight to Papa, passing flight level 230, climbing 350 inbound.
You watched the England game yesterday? My goodness. I'm not a huge footy fan, but I do love the Euros World Cup.
Hello, fly heading 155, climb level 350. Heading 155 and climb 350.
I'm playing Ukraine, aren't we? On Saturday, is that on Saturday afternoon?
Redirect to keypad. Redirect keypad, Lima 526.
G-Man, have you seen last Thursday's airport breach in LA? I used to work nearby and it was surreal to see the footage. Someone mentioned that to me earlier, but I've not seen any footage or anything about that. No doubt look into that now. Bo DeLo, have you been flying a lot recently? I have. Yeah, this year I've flown now. I've actually got my logbook open, so I just want to ask that. This year I've flown 43 hours in total now. Last week was my first 5 days on duty. 4 days of flying. I was also in the sim as a body, so that's where there's a guy who has his check. Usually what they do, they'll check a captain and a first officer at the same time, but this captain called in sick. So I was used as a body, and basically you do the check. You're not assessed yourself, but the guy, in this case the FO, was. And it's quite nice actually, because you get to sort of experience the check environment without the pressure of actually being, you know, assessed yourself, even though they will be assessing you. You don't want to do a rubbish job, but it's quite nice to do. Alpha, you watched the pub, you had far too much to drink. I saw the BBC they were interviewing someone at 7 in the morning. They were already drinking in preparation for the game. What was it, like 10 hours later? Tom, do you do F1 Fantasy? I don't, no. Thank you, Baudelaire, it's very kind. I hope you're doing well as well, sir. Anyway, where are we? There's Liverpool, Echo Golf Golf Papa. Birmingham's coming up. There's East Midlands Airport. We have other airports. There's Leeds. Maybe if we look out the right window, we'll be able to see Liverpool. There it is, under the cloud. Very nice. Captain Robbie, clouds. My clouds are active sky. Nicholas, clouds are active sky, I suppose. Correct. They're active skies, textured cloud set. And they look quite nice. Paul, you need to get to DC6 to do some real flying. Oh my goodness, ever since doing that DC6 stream and obviously watching the PMDG videos in preparation, I keep getting these videos now, linking them. I've been watching the Red Bull DC6, which was sent from Africa, how they flew it from Africa to Salzburg, and then the restoration. It's quite interesting to watch. Love those sort of things. I might do a poll. Because I plan to perhaps stream on Friday. But I might ask guys, what do you want me to fly? Do you want me to fly the ZIBO Mod, the EC6, the Indie Builds A300? Yeah, I'll let you guys decide.
You're not BA because the voice call zone for British Airways is Speedbird.
I'm Africa Presley, hope you're well. You flew seat support for a check ride. They're doing that with a few of our guys for recurrent training, and the union is not happy about it. All the companies completely ignoring them. Why are they not happy with that, Matthew? I don't see what the issue is. But the company is completely ignoring the contract in doing so. I guess there's some agreement in place. But no, if they need a body and you're around, I mean, I had to drive a bit of a way to the training centre, but it's beneficial for me. Anyway, let's bring up Beauvais, which is LFOB.
Packet 52 Lima Foxtrot, got that London Control 120.025.
120.025, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot 0.
I can get you no more than 5, and I've got to get you a frequency change.
Checking the next frequency.
Ran into Echo Charlie Delta, crashing contact with the control 129 and vessel 4253.
Steve, have you been following the young lad that's flying solo around the world? I think I've seen that pop up a few times, Steve. He's in a 182, isn't he?
Charlie Delta, contact with the control 129 and vessel 425.
Just try and check it with London guys, and then we'll start setting up for the approach. About to go over Birmingham and Honolulu.
Control 133, decimal 7.
327 with speed 9,
London, hello. Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, maintaining flight level 410 Honolulu.
Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, London Control, roger.
Perfect. All checked in.
London Control, Giant 4427, again with you at level 410.
So, let's have a look here. So, arrival, expecting a Velol 1 Bravo. Approach, it'll be runway 30 and use go for the Islet Zulu. There's no ATC, we'll fly the procedural approach. Also reference an airport chart. There we go. So what I'll do, I'll just turn the music down here whilst we start setting up for the approach. Turn it down a little bit further here so you can hear me clearly. So, 153 miles to go. We'll set up the approach nice and early today. So I'll hand over control to Jim. Let's bring up the charts. First thing we need to do is get the forecast winds in to help VNAV descent. create an accurate path for us. But the winds are very light at 15 and 17 knots. So first thing, 250 below 100. It always defaults to 240. That's with the real FMS as well. Winds are 310, 200 and 100. 054 at 20.
29425, open
Excuse me,
to
guys. 356 at 15. And 100, 328 at 17.
Sorry for that, Rhino 2 is just have to contact.
Executed.
Control at 12945 for Rhino 2.
Can't understand a word he was saying. QNH is 1017. Perfect. Fix rings in for runway 30.
7150, level by Westgate, Contra
10-4. And 3 times our height, which is 41,000 feet, so that's going to be 123 miles, approximately where we'll start our descent. So that is set. So let's have a look at our arrival. So coming in from Velol, which is right on the coastline of France with the English Channel, we need to be max 250 at below flight level 140. So let's have a look here in the FMS. There you are, Velol, 250 knots or below, flight level 140 below, so VNAV will aim to make that restriction first. From Velol, Magdecimal 75, Alpaca 52, Lima Foxtrot, what would you like?
Can you increase 77 or 78?
78 will go, Alpaca 52, Lima Foxtrot.
I did a Foxtrot, thank you, break Alpaca 84, Charlie Mike, maintain Mark Decimals.
78 for sequencing, execute, you'll see now all the throttle will adjust their thrust to maintain Mach decimal 78.
Alpaca 12 Foxtrot, hello, on Friday 37.
Brandy, you'd like a raw data star, unfortunately this is... Is this RNAV based? I think so, yeah, RNAV based, pretty much 95% of all stars in Europe are RNAV based now.
From the control, very good evening, FedEx to Golf Happy for level
Vepet,
350.
flight level 90 below, that checks, then to Nemed, we're going to be at or below flight level 70, and then the initial approach fix is Named to be at, Matted to be at 5,000 feet, and usually it'll be a straight in approach from there, I should think, for runway 12, because that is the initial approach fix. However, the surface wind in Beauvais is 3008 knots, so it's unlikely they'll be using 12. So what do we need to do from Matted? Because that is where the arrival, well actually the arrival terminates at Beauvais, so Matted to Beauvais, which is coded. So what do we need to do when we get to Beauvais? Well, if we don't get vectors, we're going to fly the procedural approach here. So we're going to fly for a CAT sea aircraft this approach there. Thanks for subscribing, Yannick, welcome. So, let's check the track first. So from Beauvais, we are interested in the top one here, 100, between 141 and 200 knots. So we'll see at Beauvais, we've already got a speed to 200 knots or below. Just select the plan here. There we are. So we're going to go out until 7 miles. Actually, we've got 2 tracks here. Interesting. So we're interested in this track, Beauvais 100. Now it actually takes us to 8 miles. However, I have 7 miles coded, so maybe I need to select the other Beauvais approach. Beauvais 2. Let's try Beauvais 2 and see what that does. Yeah. Oh, that's 6 miles. Geesh, I think I definitely want Beauvais 1. Yeah, that's 7, but I reckon it's just a slight difference in distance coded in the FMS, so we definitely want... we'll take the 7 mile one. So there you are, outbound from Beauvais on a track of 100 till 8 miles. It says 7 here, I should think it will be around 7, but it does say 6.9. From 3,000 feet we can go down to be 800 feet or above. We want to fly as much of a CDA as possible, so I'll change that to 1800. So once we get to 8 miles, you can see 7 miles here. It's going to be a left turn to set the localizer, centre fix, and then we're going to go to the Foxtrot India 30 point. That waypoint is here, 4.7 miles. So if you go Foxtrot India 30, oops. There we are. So that 4.7 mile point is just there, Foxtrot India 30, and they'll intercept the glide stuff at 1800 feet at this point. Now I've done a couple of test sectors for ZIBO. VNAV's working really nicely in the initial part of the descent, but what I'm finding recent updates as well, it's sort of doing a very shallow descent. It'll get you nice and low initially, and then it will sort of just do around 400 or 500 feet per minute, very low below profile, and then, you know, imagine we want to be coming in as much of a CDA as possible, so it's sort of like this, but it's coming in very shallow like this, and it's fine, it works. It just means we have the thrust on a little bit sooner, and it's putting us much lower. You know, ideally what would happen and how VNAV would work in real life, you come around the corner here and it'll put you bang on the glide slope, you know, no fly high, fly low, bang on the glide slope. As I come around the corner at the moment in the mod, it's putting me about 2 dots low, so I might select vertical speed and stop following the VNAV guidance on the downwind leg. Now we're basing this on the fact that there's no ATC available. It's likely if there is ATC we'll get vectors, and then it'll be fine, but if there's not, we'll go from Beauvais, fly the procedural approach outbound onto the ILS. So, legging here, we need to set some ILS frequencies. We've got 10995. It is active once, twice, we can double check the FMS. 3 times. Bravo India is the ident, which checks. Courses are 303, set on the FMC courses up here as well. Looks like a handbrake turn. It's a bit tight this a bit, but that's a typical procedural approach. We do still fly quite a few of those on the network. Oh, I've just flown overhead Birmingham. I think it's getting a little bit cloudy as we go further south. Direct Ziddle, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot. There's Birmingham below us there anyway. Nice little shortcut. One might actually just be a direct straight line. Cheeky little shortcut, we'll take it. 141 miles. That actually might be the boundary with the French. Yeah, Ziddle is the boundary between the FIR between London and Paris, I think. You can always check out where the FIR boundaries are by looking on the chart and finding this dashed line. There you are, Ziddle. And that's the boundary. So it's quite common to get shortcuts from, this is very realistic, from the respective ATC unit to the boundary. So if it's clear, yeah, direct Ziddle. And then we'll be talking to the French approaching Petax. So that's a nice shortcut. So frequencies courses, we've set minimums, 409. FM 129-425, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot. Perfect.
Land runway 27 Hotel Bravo Victor Lima Golf.
London Centre, hello, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, maintaining flight level 410, direct to Ziddle. We're instructed to maintain Mach decimal 78.
Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, London, Roger, break zip, Delta 045.
There we are, minimum's 497.
I'm at 045. Speedbird 7 Hotel Lima, climb flight level 190.
Climb flight level 190, Speedbird 7 Hotel Lima.
Lufthansa 687, climb flight level 390.
497 set, expected QNH is 1017, so we can preset that as well. So yeah, procedural approach as mentioned, MSA, no terrain issues really, highest MSA all around is 2,400, so any problems will maintain 3,000 feet. Down we go, round the bend. Down to the minimum, so you have to go around. I'll push token once, go around flat 15, set ground for us, pulse rate, climb gear up 400 feet, LNAV. Climb straight ahead to just 1,100 feet. So there we are, 1,100 feet, conditional waypoints. And then we're at 1,100 feet of right turn, max 220 to the VOR, so we're going to come back round, inbound to Beauvais, and the VOR frequency is 10965. So very low stop altitude, 2,000 feet.
Direct to Holly, descend to flight level 80.
Yeah, if I'll climb to 2,000 feet. So that's a big threat here, which is going to happen. If we go around, it's going to happen very quickly. Level off at 2,000 feet very early if we happen to be going around close to the runway. RVR's 550 metres, and we'll have puppies on the left.
7501, I'll call you later.
So, yeah, quite a long runway here, 2,400 metres, very light. Let's look at the performance.
Second November, Alpaca 3 Echo Bravo, Monty Unicorn 122.8.
So runway 30, 2.5% missed approach climb gradient.
Echo Charlie Delta, descend flight level.
Runway should be dry at the moment. Now I forecast rain later. 3108.
190, runway Charlie.
Speedbird 7 Hotel Lima.
Temperature 15 degrees, 1017.
Flight level 290,
Schedule 700,
flat 30.
Delta 045, climb flight level
Take with that, let's have a look at our landing weight. So arrive at 3.4 tonnes to get to Orly, it was 2.2, so we've got at least 30 minutes, exactly a tonne to burn until we land. Oops. So landing weight 49.2, very light.
Call back at Mike again, please.
There we are, there's all our landing distance available. So we want to ideally vacate at November. November we can go straight towards the apron. We have whiskey available if we miss November. It's going to be around 2,000 metres I reckon for November. Flat 30 on a brake 2 is 1900, so that's fine for us. Very light, approach speed 128 knots. The aircraft has guys to listen in before you check in. Like, that's always take 5 seconds. So yeah, it's flat 30 on a brake 2. The stopping performance of the aircraft when it's empty is very good. You know, if you had to,
control, have a run at 7623, passing flight level 300 for 270.
if you had to in an emergency, you could stop in 500 meters. You know, if you're empty, that is heavy, you'd struggle. But empty, if you really stopped on the brakes, flat 40, 500 meters is doable on a dry runway, no problem. So that's it. Briefing's complete. I think we've covered everything. We're nice 60 miles to go. There we are.
Okay, thank you very much. Break easy.
Kurash, is self-vectoring a thing in reality? Yes, you can self-position onto approaches. So, a couple of things to be wary of is the MSA and terrain. You want to be visual now. If you're flying a visual approach, you are fully responsible for terrain clearance. You can descend to an altitude of your choosing. You can also self-position onto ILSs and other approaches. A couple of things to bear in mind. At night time, if you're below the MSA at night time, this is an operator SOP, you cannot self-position below the MSA. Now, if you're above the MSA, yes, there's no restriction. You can self-position the aircraft onto the final approach course. It's unusual because most places have radar, but you've got to be so cautious. You know, self-manoeuvring at night with terrain around, even if you're above the MSA, not a good idea. So you want to stick to procedural approaches. But yeah, self-positioning, you can do. There's nothing wrong with that. Some airports, you know, they'll even say, you can say, can I self-position? So they'll say, yeah, usually that's fine, but it'll be an unusual request.
KLM 45 Lima direct to Holly, descend flight level 120.
Sebastian, hi Captain, are you vaccinated already, or are you not planning to do so? I am indeed getting vaccinated. I have already had my first jab, and I'll be having my second jab in August. I won't start a debate in chat about anti-vaccine and all that sort of stuff, but please go get your jab done. Thank you very much, Daryl Clevenger, for the $5. Very kind of you, sir. I hope you're doing very well stateside. No doubt probably good morning or good afternoon to you, so thank you very much for your generosity shown there. Thank you. There we are, approaching Gatwick. That's where there's a VATSIM overload event going on ahead of us there. It's clearing up a little bit nicely. Let's go south. Where are we actually overhead?
I'm back at 84 Charlie Mike. Reduce, please.
Approaching London, look. London to the left. Just directly overhead, Maidenhead and Marlow, look, and High Wycombe. I flew into High Wycombe Airfield once when I was out of building.
465, fly heading 050 degrees, climb flight level 90.
Tom, vaccinated today, first shot. Excellent.
Alpha, turn right heading 100 degrees, climb flight level 290.
Jessica, you've got your second on the weekend. It's feisty compared to the first. Oh dear. Now, I had Pfizer vaccine to start with. There's London Heathrow. Look.
I say again, climb now, flight level 290.
Oh look, you can actually see London here.
Ryanair 72 Tango November, descend for level 140.
Monkey Mod, where's the option for the Honeywell?
Level 140.
Let's see if I can remember.
Ground 2031.
Configurations, display and variants. Displays.
Nope. 685, turn right heading 095.
Systems. There you go. Systems, MCP panel, Honeywell Collins.
That's number 687, turn right heading 095.
I'm enjoying the external views today. Utilising that Orbix True
Runway 2 Echo Charlie Delta, Monitor Unicom 122.8.
Lazy Pilot, Vulcan or OpenGL? Vulcan. I've been using Vulcan for the last year or so. With my specs, it just gives you that extra FPS I need to make a a smooth experience. Previously I was sort of sometimes hitting with certain aircraft 20-25 FPS. It's quite nice. Who's that flying over my head? Thank you very much. Aidan Thomas, welcome aboard as a member, sir. You in the Air Force? Very smart there with your hat. Thank you very much, Aidan Thomas. Welcome as a member. You'll get invited to our members only Discord. Enjoy your custom modes in chat as well. Her Majesty Lizzie Windsor is in the house. Here we go.
500 meters, you say? I've just had it measured by one of the guards. The mall is a little over 600.
Stopping
They
distance.
can get rid of my 146s, but they can't take away my Alpaca Airways VIP pass. Expect you here Monday 8 AM sharp.
Thank you, Majesty. Thank you, Lizzie Windsor. For anyone that is unsure of who Lizzie Windsor is, that is Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, an avid fan of Flight Deck to Sim, often watching the streams here. I work for her on the side here. Obviously very shocked that the 737 can land in such a short distance there. The length of your mall, no problem, we can stop at that distance there. You get rid of your 146s, but they can't take away my Alpaca. Thank you very much, Your Majesty. I hope you're doing well, and my regards to the Corgis. Cheers. Aidan Thomas says, thanks mate, no problem. Enjoy the Discord to all the members that joined. And 7 flight level 260, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot. Now this is a bit of a pain because I really want to demonstrate the VNAV U14 update. I think I can make this work. What I'm going to do is push out into vent. Oh, helps if I descend. Yeah, helps if you set the level first. 260. Out into vent. And I'm just going to select vertical speed and just do a really shallow descent because I want to stay on profile as much as possible. Top of descents in chat then, down we go.
Giant 4427, roger.
So a little bit about this update then, this U14 FMS update, which I'm sure a lot of you are quite interested in hearing about here. So the U14 update brought a little bit more functionality to the FMS associated with some of the air navigation systems, the CPDLC, you're able to communicate through the FMS there. There's this new airway intersection feature as well. The main thing though is a major change to how the VNAV logic changes in descent. Now 99% of all descents, or 90% of all descents, we use VNAV path, okay? And there's another option which I never use in the real aircraft, I've never used in the stream as well, and that's called VNAV speed. And what VNAV speed is, it behaves in the same way as level change. So the aircraft will pitch to maintain the bug speed, but it'll also comply with restrictions in the FMS, whereas level change is a basic pitch mode, it'll just pitch the speed until it reaches the MCP altitude. Now, with U13, the previous FMS update and previous versions, if you open the VNAV, if you're in VNAV path and you open the speed window, it went to VNAV speed. That has changed, okay, if you're on profile. If you're on profile, it won't go to VNAV speed, it'll stay in VNAV path, and you can adjust your speed on the MCP, and the auto throttle will respond to that and add thrust, reduce thrust as required. And that is exactly how the aircraft previously and still does behave on the approach. On approach, it was exactly the same way. You had the speed window open, but it locks into VNAV path. That's now in all phases of flight. If you're on profile, you open the speed window, it'll stay in VNAV path, but it'll give you the ability to change your thrust while staying on the path, which is quite cool. Previously, you'd just stay in arm and you just have to add the thrust manually. If you're high on profile, which I'll demonstrate both today, it will revert to VNAV speed, and then it'll obviously pitch to maintain that speed, but as soon as you recapture your profile, it'll revert from VNAV speed to VNAV path with the speed window still open. Previously it would have stayed in VNAV speed. Now, if that is confusing, I'm trying to explain it exactly how it works. Once you see it working, it'll be a little bit easier to understand. If there's any confusion, drop a comment in the video afterwards, and I'm happy to go into more detail. And really don't hesitate with those sort of things. I do try to respond to sort of those technical questions more, because it allows me to even look up the topic myself, review it, and improve my knowledge on the subject as well. So don't hesitate to ask. Laura, VNAV speed is like Airbus managed altitude, but selected speed, maybe. Lucian, what's the ground speed at the moment? 431 knots. If you ever want to know right at any time in the stream, you'll see that's information is at the top there.
Firebird 5160.
So ZIBO implemented this quite recently. So you can see now we've passed the top of the descent point. The VNAV profile's coming back towards us. So I'm going to select VNAV path. The aircraft's going to go retard VNAV path because it's starting to pitch down to capture this. There we are. So that is smoothly transitioning. There's the rate of descent increasing. A little bit late getting into VNAV there. So we'll just let the aircraft capture the profile again. That was my fault. Vanguard, how do you switch back to VNAV path without the speed window open? It just stays in VNAV path, Vanguard, when the speed window's closed. So here we are. Now we're established on path. Remember, this is an idle path descent, so the auto throttle will be closed. We'll have arm, so we can add thrust. Now, previously, if I had opened speed intervent now, it would go to VNAV speed with U13 and before. If I engage it now, it stays in VNAV path. This is the logic change here, and it goes to MCP speed. So what I can do now, I could lower the speed, and the aircraft will do its best while staying on path to slow down. It can't. That's exactly how it would work. But if I add thrust, add speed, look, the auto throttle will add thrust. So previously it would do that. It would stay in arm or retard arm, and it would pitch like in level change. But now it allows you to stay in VNAV path and adjust your thrust to maintain speed, and if you just simply close it, it'll go back to staying in VNAV path, except now it'll command the auto throttle to arm. So that's the main difference with the previous versions where it would go to VNAV speed and VNAV path. Now the other situation I'll demonstrate now. I'm going to put myself a little bit high, vertical speed 1,000 feet per minute, so you'll see the profile escape below us. We'll wait until we're 1,000 feet above profile here. Yanis, hi flight sim, are you an LTC? If you'd like to, would you like to become one? Thanks. I'm not Yanis. I'm still a reasonably new captain. My next year he asked if I was interested recently, but you know, in the future. But at the moment, I'm still quite happy. You know, in the left-hand seat. I miss training. I loved working as an SFI in the sim, but in the future, I'd like to be an LTC. Yes. Right, so we're 1,000 feet high. Now watch what happens when I push VNAV. This is VNAV path with retard, but if I open the speed window now, it will revert to VNAV speed because I'm not on profile. Now here's the little bug. This should not be saying MCP speed now. This should be saying retard arm. The auto throttle is doing it for me, so it has gone retard arm. It's just 200, set flight level 200, 290 on conversion, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot. So you can see here, just to demonstrate, this you just have to imagine is retard arm. This is VNAV speed, but watch what happens. This is good because I need to accelerate anyway for him. I've accelerated so we can capture the profile, but you'll watch when we get to VNAV speed, it'll convert to VNAV path.
Giant 4427.
And this will go, this would still stay retard arm. So there's VNAV path. Now this is a bug. This is a bug that should say retard arm. ZIBO, I've already reported to it. And it's gone to MCP speed. That shouldn't do that. No, it should be. No, that is correct. No, that's that. So basically, before it should have been retard arm. Now it's gone back to VNAV path. That is now correct. MCP speed. So the transition is now correct. Now the auto throttle will respond to that. It would have been retard arm before, and then VNAV path. Then it engages MCP speed. But you know, all I have to do is close the window to stay in VNAV path. I'm sure I've confused a lot of you. Again, if you need any clarification, more than happy to answer any questions in the comments section. And we'll go from there. Right, 290 knots anyway. On conversion, so that will adjust our, that'll change our profile. Sorry, was that Unicom for Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot? Unicom there. Cool, so yeah, VNAV 290 knots, that's adjusted by profile, that's completely normal. We'll go over to Unicom now, unfortunately. There we go. Captain Clouds, is 7,000 feet per minute descent realistic? No, that's a little bit too steep. 5.5, 6, the 737 will do if you accelerate in descent, but not much beyond that. So yeah, I'll just demonstrate that one more time. Look, if I just go vertical speed, let me get back high again. Because my explanation wasn't best there. 290 knots, which is good. So again, I'm just going to get myself a little bit high. Then we'll then gauge VNAV in path initially. So if I select VNAV path, retard, that is absolutely correct. The aircraft's going to try and capture that profile. If I push speed into vent, you get VNAV speed. This is incorrect. You should get retard and arm now. The aircraft is doing it. We just need to get the FMA to update it. I'm now going to accelerate in VNAV speed. Let's go 300 knots, recapture the profile. And all that happens when you recapture the profile is this will go from VNAV speed to VNAV path. What you'll see it do, this would be an arm at the moment, and as soon as you get VNAV path, this would then enunciate MCP speed as well. So there we are, VNAV path, MCP speed, and if I wanted to fly faster, you add speed, and it'll add thrust now. So yeah, it's amazing. U14 is here, just a minor FMA issue when in VNAV speed and recovering the profile, but the actual system's working perfectly except one FMA enunciation. So really cool to have that working then. Excellent. So there we are. Apparently, John says not Unicon for long though, so hopefully we'll have a Frenchman speaking to us soon. We'll keep descending to flight level 200 towards Petax. And we are descending to maintain that 140 restriction at Velol. Adam, VNAV in the 737 is such a well-made system. It's very clever, Adam. I mean, it's... and ZIBO's modelled it to work perfectly. So look, it's pitching with no thrust on, so this is sort of like coasting in a car, burning as little fuel as possible and maintaining the target speed beautifully with idle thrust. It just knows what attitude to set based off information you put in the flight management computer, and ZIBO does an incredible job in modelling that. And the real aircraft is pretty good at holding its speed, but even in the real aircraft, sometimes if the aircraft's slightly heavier than forecast or the wind's slightly different than forecast, the speed will vary. The ZIBO mod does that too. It's also with the real aircraft too, but you can manage that manually whilst in arm. You can, if you're going fast, increase drag by using speed brake. You can add thrust if you're going slow. If you get 15 knots below your target speed, FMC speed will engage anyway, so it's safe as well. Hakan, been out flying lately, Captain? Yes, Hakan, I've been very busy. I did a full week of flying last week. It was absolutely awesome. If you are interested, I am on Instagram as well, on Facebook. I try and put the odd snippet on there if you are interested. Right, there's no ATC, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to bug 140, which is our first restriction to be level at Velol, which is coming up here in about 3 minutes. Thank you, Listerbin, for sharing. So you'll see we'll let it get a little bit low on speed. In reality, I would have put some thrust on. Now we're 15 knots below our target speed. It's gone to FMC speed. That is true to the real aircraft. Adam, it's super well reproduced in the ZIBO. Yeah, the VNAV system in the ZIBO mod is the best VNAV system I've noticed in any other aircraft available. Cool. Well, no delay. We should be touching down in around 20 minutes. There we are, just popping in on the map there, approaching the French coastline. Adam, just finished your exams, going to be flying a 150 on the 9th. Very exciting. Very, very exciting, buddy. Yes, I remember you saying you're going off studying. Let's have a look here at Beauvais. Apparently there's no ATC. No, unfortunately not. There's a lot of arrivals coming in. This could get interesting. We'll have to try and coordinate it with everyone. John, I'm not active in the Sims right now, but the ZIBO seems like a hard must-have, and it's free too. Yeah, it is completely free. And ZIBO would like me to stress as well, it's not just him. Yes, he's the one that makes all the coding, he's the one that feeds it back, but it's a small team of people. We don't necessarily communicate with each other, but we all provide feedback. I mean, I think he credits everyone here anyway. Look, there's myself, 737NG World Sim Pilots. There's a South African guy, I think, who's either flies a 737, I think, who provides feedback as well. So we all do our little bit. I know nothing about computers, but I can just go to ZIBO. ZIBO, it should do this at this point. Okay, and he just, 10 minutes later, try this, and it works. I don't know how he does it. I've said it so many times, but he'd like me to stress that it's not just him. It's based off the work of a few of us, which provide the inputs he needs to make it as realistic as possible. Right, anyway, approaching Velol, we'll go down to 9-0 to make the restriction of VEPET. Weather's not too bad in Beauvais, a little bit overcast. But no rain showers. It was pretty dull here last night when I was doing the test sector in live weather. Barris is outed event the same as open descent? No. But I wouldn't exactly, or cannot remember exactly what open descent is in the Airbus. So I'm just adding a little bit of thrust here manually, just because the speed's coming back a little bit too much, because the profile just seems to be shallowing out slightly. Not sure why. But VNAV is adjusting its rate of descent to recapture the profile. You can always add thrust manually to maintain your target speed. Lauren V, open descent is level change. Thank you. Slowly reduce that thrust again as the aircraft starts descending on that profile. So it's made that restriction to be added below flight level 140 at Velol, max 250 knots. Whoops, well, that's my bad, because remember, ATC said fly 290, we'll keep it up. But, if ATC give you a speed to fly, you can disregard the restriction if you're not sure confirmed with them. But we were told to fly 290 in the descent. There we are, back to idle. Looking good. You should be just straight in onto runway 12 and matted, but via this procedural approach. Hi Bjorn, nice to see the world slowly going back to normality. Booked my vaccination just now, fantastic Bjorn. So, yeah, the path's got a little bit shallow now. I did mention this to ZIBO earlier, and same on the approach here. Just having to add that thrust just to make sure the target speed stays where it needs to be. We've got the 250 knots or below 250 below 100 decel point coming up at VEPET. And you can see now, look, notice how the speed's starting to come back on its own. See how it's bucking back, 284, 283, 282. That is in anticipation for 250 below 100. That's exactly how the real aircraft works as well. Previously in the mod, it was moving in a smooth fashion. I told ZIBO in the real aircraft it sort of moves in this staggered fashion, which you see now, so a knot at a time. Previously in the mod, it was sort of like a very smooth reduction of speed, so that's all working as per the real 7.3 now. Oh, Bjorn, vacation, not vaccination. Sorry, Bjorn, I'm so sorry. I'm so used to people saying I've got my vaccination booked. Your vacation booked. Enjoy, Bjorn. And yeah, thanks for putting that out. Hype. So 100, not quite doing 250. Probably didn't help that I had a bit of thrust on there. So what I'm going to do is just help her out. There's a little bit of speed brake there to help slow down. I'm now going to descend down to 5,000 feet to be level at matted, and we will then have a level segment for 5,000 feet for a short while. That is completely normal. So QNH in Beauvais is 1017, 9,500 for 5,000 feet. We'll do the post-cruise checks now. Get rid of the speed brake as well. So, fuel, we have 4 pumps, we have, what's that there, pretty much 4 tons on board. Lights, logos off, angular bank set to 25 degrees, pressurization 3.0 set, verify seatbelts on, and recall. There we are. Checks complete. And that 5,000 feet restriction, we're going to maintain 5,000 feet until we're sort of flying for this procedural approach here. But we've got to comply with that restriction at matted.
Ryanair 3 Victor Golf at Beauvais, back.
So we're going to try and work out where we are in the sequence of all this other traffic. Now there's a Ryanair ahead of us, and I can't see him on the TCAS at the moment, but he looks like we've got sufficient spacing. I think the speeds that London gave us earlier have really helped with the spacing. John, as far as speed brake goes, is there any negative effect for the passengers? None at all. It just shakes. There's a little bit of a vibration, but yeah, you're not going to be spilling your drinks and your cocktails. Some old school captains very much believe that if you start to use the speed brake, you've failed miserably your descent planning. But it's certainly not the case. Your VNAV path is based on you know, if you're following your exact magenta line, perfect. VNAV should be able to deal with it, but 95% of cases you get vectored off it, so you might have to use speed brake if you get a shortcut. It's a tool to be used, and I think it's very much that sort of age of guys going, oh, speed brake, don't use that. It's gone. You know, if it's there to be used, it's there to be used. Plainly, sequencing looks good. Plainly, you can keep us all up to date. So that Ryanair aircraft's ahead of us. When we get towards the beacon, there he is. Look, he's about 6 miles ahead, so we'll just bear that in mind. I'm actually going to start slowing down now. So I'm actually going to go vertical speed and bring that speed back to around 200 knots. Well, actually 220 initially. There we are, out of that overcast layer now. There's the localizer for the reciprocal runway. Remember, the indications will be opposite to what we're wanting to see because of where the courses are set to. And there we are. We've made matted. Should be exactly at 5,000, but remember, I'm now just shadowing off the descent here. So, matted now directly inbound to the Beauvais VOR. So, one of the things you'd have to bear in mind for runway 30 for departures, they'll probably be restricted to quite a low stop altitude because we're at 5,000 feet. For this approach, but I should think there's radar here and you get vectored downwind, so it wouldn't affect departures. You'd probably get a TA or even an RA for departures with the way we're coming in. Looking good. Guillaume says, or Guillaume, beautiful weather in Paris. Yeah, a little cloudy, a little bit damp. We're talking about VNAV. There is, as I mentioned, a slight issue with VNAV on the approach at the moment. I did tell ZIBO about it yesterday. You can see how it's just completely updated its profile now. And that's normal because it put us at 5,000, but now it's like, oh, you're level at 5,000 updated. It shouldn't quite have done that. But yeah, at the moment what it does, it sort of has a very early top of descent point. It gives you a very shallow descent to put you a little bit low onto the ILS. So I might look through that glide slope and VNAV just to make sure we do a bit more of a CDA. Will Steele, thank you very much. Welcome aboard as a member, buddy. Glad you enjoying the content. You get invited to our members-only Discord. Hope you enjoy using the custom emojis and chats. And thank you very much for your membership. Welcome. Hi Richard, he says hello. First time watching your streams after having watched a lot of your previous videos from the last 6 months. We'll definitely tune into the streams more from now on. Thank you very much, Richard. Welcome on board for this live stream. It's very nice of you to pop in. As we get a little bit busy into the summer, I will of course try and stream at least on one of my days off. I've got actually quite a bit of time coming off next week, so I'm back on furlough again. They're sort of mixing it around a little bit to even out the hours. So yeah.
Unicom Ryanair 3 Victor Golf taxi.
Next couple of weeks, I'll probably be doing 2 or 3 streams a week, working, you know, because we're not working so often. Aladdin says, I have the croissants ready down here, waiting for you. Merci beaucoup. Right, there's the runway anyway. We'll be doing this procedural approach shortly. We'll report when we're overhead the airfield. So far, everyone seems to be coordinating themselves well on Unicom. So I'll switch over to this chart. So you have a combined decel and topper descent point here from 5,000 feet. Thanks for subscribing, whoever that was. Coming in now. Jevon Games, someone else. Willie Thornton and Jevon Games Joe, welcome. And you'll notice as we pass this 5,000 feet point, the profile is going to start descending. There you go. So this descent point is a little bit early. It should be a little bit later because it's giving me a very shallow descent on the test sectors. Now I might utilise it just now, so let's go down to 3,000 feet overhead the VOR, and then once we're overhead the VOR, we can descend further. So I'm just going to go 3,000 feet initially and just use vertical speed to set a very gentle descent. Max speeds for the procedure, remember, is 141 to 200 knots, so we'll bring the speed back to 200 knots for us. Looking good. Hello pilot A340, he just goes, hey to you. 13 degrees, so there's no requirement for engine anti-ice. Remember, the tent is 10 degrees
Golf
or
holding
less.
at November 2. As soon as Alpha 738 lands, we'll be backtracking along runway 30.
There's someone landing. Look, whilst the clouds are rebuilding. Look at that, someone landing directly below us. Oh, maybe the clouds won't rebuild. There we are. Very cool look. He's going to be... I've done that a few times on procedural approaches. Superb. I'm about to make a left turn to brake outbound for the procedure, and as soon as we're overhead the VOR, we'll report outbound on Unicom. Doesn't seem to be anyone ahead of us as well, so... There you go, he'll calls that. Just flying directly overhead the VOR. There it is. Can you see the Beauvais VOR? Just there. Unicom, everyone in Beauvais, Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot outbound from Beauvais for the ILS Zulu procedure. We'll be turning final in 3 minutes.
Alpaca 73 going around due to traffic on the runway.
Oh dear. Someone landed, go around. Well, he had to go around because someone else was landing. Oh dear, he's gone. Bye bye. I'll do one, guys. I'll do one approach. Anyway, if someone has to go, if I have to go around, we'll have to go around, and then I'll probably log off for the second one. Anyway, outbound we go, 200 knots. As soon as we get here, max 200 knots to the turn, we'll select flap 1 on the base leg point. Remember, I'm sort of ignoring this at the moment. The profile is putting me very low on test sectors. We'll do the approach checklist now. So we've got 10995, 10995 for the ILS. And, oops, that was me. I accidentally knocked the trim. That's fixed rings runway 30. We've got the idents Bravo India. Standby instruments are set 303, 303. The approach checklist is complete. We'll select flap 1.
1,000 to go.
Matching the speed. So yeah, ideally I would be perfectly on VNAV, but as mentioned, I mentioned to ZIBO, it's putting me way too low on the profile, so I'm sort of looking for it, just putting myself at a height where I'd expect to be vectored there. So there we are, flap 1. The flaps are extending very fast. It usually takes a little bit longer to get the leading edge
2
flaps
Echo
out.
Charlie Delta, are you looking to taxi stand or for departure?
Oh yeah, we can go down to 1,800 feet now as well. Which is the minimum height to intercept the glide slope.
Pushing back and 7.
Sit runway heading. Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot turning onto a 9-mile final runway 30.
Alpaca 73, 2,700 left. Downwind, runway 30.
So everyone's using Unicom properly, which is good to communicate with each other. So you can see even here, it's showing me high on profile, we're below. Look, the glide slope's just 1 dot or so, but we'll keep it at 500 feet per minute until we intercept the glide slope. There's correct sensing, showing fly left on the localizer, so we can arm Vorlock. have no ATC,
Right,
but we'd only put those on once we cleared to land.
We're going to backtrack along the runway to Romeo as soon as the fellow Ryanair has backtracked along this other way.
So he needs to backtrack. He's on Romeo at the moment. We'll let him know that we're on final. So he is just waiting to leave here. Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot's 8 mile final, runway 30. Flap 5. First time I've actually really utilised Unicom without ATC. It's just about coordinating with other people there. There's flap 5. We can arm approach, localiser, capture, runway heading set. Approach is armed with 1 dot. And glide slope capture, missed approach altitude is 2,000 feet set. And if we have to go around straight ahead to 1,100 feet, and as soon as at 1,100 feet, right turn, straight back to the VOR. Let's see what's going on ahead of us then. So, got that Ryanair aircraft who's... I don't know why he's facing that way, because surely that's very unusual. I don't know why he's there. And I can't even vacate there, look. So usually you'd vacate... I can't vacate at November, I have to vacate at Whiskey, look, because that Ryanair aircraft's blocking it there and he needs to hold position. So it looks like he's holding position. 5 miles, start configuring soon. Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot, 5 mile final, and we'll be vacating Whiskey, runway 30. There's the aircraft that went around. He's back on the procedure. All very, very nicely done. So I'm going to go order break 1, okay, because we need to go all the way to the end here at Whiskey. And we'll start configuring. Gear down, flap 15, match speed, landing checklist, start switches, continuous recall checked, speed brake, arm green light, landing gear, down 3 green, order brake 1, holding flap 30. And flaps we have 30, green light, imagine we've got a landing clearance. Landing checklist complete, just double check. He's holding position. He's facing an interesting direction. He should have been backtracked facing that way to take off of runway 30. We'll see what happens. But they're all waiting. We'll now disconnect everything. Autopilot's coming off. Auto throttle's coming off. Clear to land. Checklist is complete.
Stabilized, Mr. Perch altitude set.
Thanks, Jim. So there's my auto throttle. My thrust lever on my joystick just catching up now. There we are. Yeah, so at these very light weights, usually 57%, around 60 tons, but 51, 52%, this is exactly the thrust setting you'd expect at this gross weight. One of the reasons why I love the ZIBO mod so much, your thrust and attitude is correct for all the different configurations, all the different gross weights. Much lower thrust setting required to maintain VOR plus 5 at around, what are we, about 45 tons today.
84 Charlie Mike, what's your speed?
So, PM would call stable or go around at 500 feet AGL, we're fully stable. Forgot to mention this is freeware scenery, I can't remember the author's name, but video description below has all the information.
200.
Okay, keep speed up.
Minimum.
Continue, just a little bit low here, a little bit low.
Roger, I'll bump down to minimum.
There we are.
Okay, should be fine.
50. 40. 30.
Check.
20. 10.
Close, hold the attitude, explains ground effects. Float nation. Not quite a bad great landing though. Right, speed brakes up, reverses. I'm just going to go idle reverse. I'm already going to take out the order brake because we need to go all the way to Whiskey. There's 100 knots.
FedEx to Golf, final runway 307 miles.
There's 80 knots. Manual braking.
80 knots.
And 60 knots. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Paris Beauvais, and we'll take Whiskey here on the right.
Alpaca 738, 6 mile final, runway 30, speed 140.
Steady reverses. 10 knots for the turn. Our flaps coming up, speed brakes coming up. Alpaca 52 Lima Foxtrot vacated runway 30 at Whiskey. Perfect. There we are. Bonsoir, everyone. Our retracts taxi light off.
FedEx 22 Golf, please.
Weather radar's coming up. stowed a speed brake, order brake off.
Say again, please.
We made it. Nicely done with everyone on there.
FTD
Guys,
go,
I know a lot of you are
close.
joining on the stream. Well done for keeping it all controlled and coordinated. Really nice. Apart from the... he's definitely going around. Apart from that, but looking good. How he's... I think he's doing an expeditious takeoff look. My goodness me. Right, let's carry on. Very, very funny. Awesome. Hope you enjoyed that then, and I hope you enjoy seeing the new features of the ZIBO mod as well. Very, very cool to show them off as well. They're working pretty much perfectly. Just a slight issue with VNAV on approach. It's putting you a little bit shallow. You can follow it. I'm just saying it won't really maintain much of a CDA, just a very shallow descent. Otherwise, it's really nice. Hold on, I don't want to turn those off just yet. Right, we'll go find ourselves a nice little stand to taxi on. Get the APU up and running. Start switches come off, probe heat off as well, and there's the weather radar off. Lots of Ryanair aircraft, which you'd expect. This is a hub for Ryanair and Wizz Air. I think the only two commercial airlines flying here, and Alpaca Airways it would seem now as well. No idea where we need to park. We'll take a left round here and go make a left. Not quite the butts I know some of you were hoping for. Ooh, that's a very fast that turn. 10 knots maximum for turns, 90 degrees or greater. Parking stand wise, let's go for stand number next to this Airbus. Let's go beyond it. Let's go for stand number 9. APU's coming up. 2100. Flight director's off. 100 knots. Way, stand number 9. Too busy doing Jim's work. Should get a nice little marshal ahead. Taxis on to stand. APU's available. On bus, we can shut down engine number 2. There we are, there's marshals again. Master caution ELEC, that will be the drive light, or the source off light, sorry, then it'll be the drive light next. Come on, Jean-Claude, let's see those crossed arms. We're just going to be right up to the terminal. There we are. Thank you very much. Right, parking brake is set. 2 blues, 1 red, engines dead. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Paris Beauvais for the first time. Superb. Oh, what is going on? I don't know if you've realised, guys, but I actually muted it because there's a lot of nonsense going on the radio. But yeah, that is why you sometimes wish to have ATC. Oh my goodness me. All looking good here anyway. Here's us. Beautiful. Turn the anti-collision light off. Just make sure the N2 is below 20%. It is. Excellent. We've got Ryanair in the car park. Overall, at least we got in, no problems. Superb, superb, superb. Right, let's have a little look at what you guys were saying on chat there in the approach. It was a lovely flight, just a nice little demo. Everything's going on in the mod, and I know you guys like to see me jumping back into this aircraft as well. What do we got here then? Carnage behind, I saw 2 tons there, absolutely. Plainly, we take over everyone's business, we sure do. Tony, if you ever want to challenge yourself, get the FlyJSim 737-200 INS. Navigation, all calculations done in your head. Tony Bomber, I guess you're new here. Go check out my FlyJSim playlist. We've done loads of sectors in the FlyJSim, the 727 and 737-200, and we've only ever used VOR and INS navigation, so I'm sure you'll enjoy watching those videos back there as well. Tony Bomber, it's an air show. It is. Nothing to see here, definitely. Chaos. Those landings were adults only. Brilliant. Listerman 10 out of 10 would never land at Beauvais again. John loves the ZIBO mod. Christian said, nice stream, Captain. And 2 tons. Candidate for Alpaca 001 on that landing. Absolutely. Superb. Right, anyway, well, as to everyone that joined on VATSIM, thank you so much for taking part in the sector. Looks like 95% of you all behaving very, very well, and I love it when you guys join in as well. Shame they had no ATC here, but we seem to get in here reasonably safely. But I will pop off on the network anyway, because I know what you guys would like to see, and that is the funky replays. So just turn off Fly Live, and we'll turn down the music here. Excellent. my god, I haven't been streaming for over a week and I've completely forgotten what I'm doing. There we are, beautiful. Let's go to the replay and actually see how smooth that landing was. So, there we are. Let's just turn that music down as well. My goodness me. That is loud. There we are. Let's put ourselves over the threshold. Yeah, nice landing. Checked a little bit high perhaps. X-Plane has a little bit of an exasperated ground effect, which makes you float a little bit there. Top default scenery, no. If you look at the video description below, you'll see who made the scenery. If you can hear me, love it. Just checked about 10 feet too high there. Just held the attitude and let the aircraft settle down. The ground effect in X-Plane doesn't help though. It's a little bit exaggerated. I mean, just from returning to the line, just been applying the same technique I do in the ZIBO mod. The aircraft just settles down very quickly. Lovely conditions here. Good for good I'm not on the headphones today, said 2 tons. What a deafened you there. Just put that down 10 feet. And then, yeah, it was just a coast then to make the exit. Just so light, don't need anything beyond tidal reverse, we don't need anything beyond order brake 2, that's why I kicked it out early. Got a tower view too. Nice. Let's touch down, gently lower the nose, reverses, superb. Don't forget, if you'd like to get this livery, use the command !livery in chat. I get a lot of people saying, how do I get the livery? Just keep a close eye on chat on the video streams. Usually right at the start, right at the end, someone requests a livery, and you'll find a link there in chat. Always available to anyone watching. Cool, right then. Well, let's pop you into this wing view so you can enjoy the approach from the perspective of passengers sat in row 17 or 18. Guys, thank you so much for jumping into another Flight Editing live stream in the ZIBO mod 737. No doubt 349.10 will be available for you to use sooner rather than later. I haven't actually spoken to ZIBO with regards to when he'll release this, but yeah, really nice working example of the mod. VNAV's pretty much all there. There's a slight issue with an FMA enunciation with the U14 update, of how VNAV's behaving, and occasionally VNAV's a little bit wobbly as well, but it happens. You know, it's trying to replicate a very complex system, and it does a fantastic job of doing it. Very happy with how it represents how it works in the sim anyway. Amazing, guys, so generous today. I really don't want to say to anyone that donated, never expect anything, so thank you so much to everyone that contributed. To all the members, thank you for the continued support. To all the regular viewers and subscribers, lots of new people in recently as well, so I hope you're enjoying the content. Always open to feedback as well, and I hope to go live. I can't exactly say, but Friday I'll be live. Saturday on the Flight Editing Gaming channel we're doing a race on Assetto Corsa Competizione, but next week I'll be lining up some nice streams for you to enjoy. Stay safe out there in these improving times with COVID, and I'll see you all very soon. Good night.